In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle, and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
All right, thank you for staying with us, and we apologize for that break in transmission. It was unintended due to some technical issues. Our apologies. And up next, we'll move on with the newspaper review. Coming up shortly will be the Guardian newspaper.
Yes, from the Guardian newspaper, the headline says Party Politics by Court Orders Hot Internal Democracy Oppositions. Now, the Guardian newspaper is warning that the growing use of court orders to settle party disputes is hurting internal democracy, especially within opposition parties. Analysts say frequent legal battles over leadership and candidacy weaken party structures, confuse members, and reduce public confidence in the democratic process.
Okay, basically, I want to give a scenario what this is like. A student has a team, they made a choice of their captain.
Yeah.
Then the teacher comes in and makes another choice of someone who would be their captain.
Okay.
You know, there's a way it is. This is what is happening in the party court orders relating to what we have seen here. When you look at this, you will know one thing. This is destabilizing internal party strengths. And this is affecting the decisions, especially the decision-making process of party. When you look at this from a holistic point, I can tell you that, let's cite Labour Party as an instance. Looking at Labour Party has been on crisis for some while now, since their 2023 election and then the defection of Peter Obi with some other important party cohorts. You would notice that there has been this unsettling internal conflict, not battle basically, but the choice of who will be at the top in that political party. Now, just on Saturday in the news, we saw that this party order there's a party order which was given, that they now have from the court, that they now have a new party leader, the chairperson of the party, and they now have new party, what we call them, party leaders. Looking at Labour Party, for instance, you will see that courts intervening and other parties too. It has really weakened that system and has given them a strain. Citing ADC too, it looks like moving from what you could say they are really starting, they are coming up, African, that particular side of the party, you will see that party, the courts getting into that same decision making for them would weaken that system, and it's affecting the party formulation and also the party progress in Nigeria. What I want to tell you right now from what we're seeing now is that when court keeps intervening, they are actually meant to come in when it is tough, but they are not meant to intervene basically when parties are having their conflict. It now takes away the internal conflict resolution method or conflict resolution activities, which should be natural with human beings. Because when we talk about political parties, we're not talking about where animals gather, what animals do, or people who have no heart. We're talking about that these are human beings who have come together to form a coalition in order to contest or to move into this a side in the state where they will be represented or something. So that means that when you look at what is going on, especially the courts always intervening, it is weakening the decision making. It is bringing in, of course, there are some places where it has a positive side, because where there is a this particular thing about you, the people going against you, the court can come in. But the court, they don't make the laws. This is a party who came together and said, this is what we're going to stand on. And as we're going to stand on this, we don't need an external body to come in and make those decisions for us. We are humans. We know what we want. Now, if the court keeps coming in from time to time, looking at PDP too, you will see that there has been this tussle around the party leadership. You see the Turaki side, then you see the Seyi Makinde side. You see how these things have been happening. Now, even the court processes, them too, having that particular mandate is now being shaky, because when they even come together, as they say, okay, let's go back to the coalition, what we started, it will not be the same. We can say there's a distrust, because people cannot resolve conflict together. That is really what this is talking about. That courts coming into party systems to intervene in certain flimsy decisions, I would say, like, okay, we need to settle who will be leading this our party, or we need to settle who will be the secretary of our party. We need to settle, just looking at the obedient side. The other day, you see that in the news, there's already this tension that the obedients are, citing that Peter Obi should actually, he should have the presidential, this thing in obedience. That coalition. So it's making a lot of rounds, and that is something we are seeing. And when this thing goes out, that means there will be a lot of things that would happen. So now it's just like we are in the same house, and we are already striving, and we're already making decisions, but we are disagreeing. And this disagreement is not something we should bring in a third party, because they are not so much. But what we do, we are trying to find who will lead us. Naturally, we can lead, or because we came together, we are seeing the effect, what this thing can do to us. So at the end of the day, what this thing will do is that when you make a decision, or when I make a decision, because we now have an external body, there will be a support from the external body. So the external body may be looking at, okay, I'm going to support the court. We say, okay, I'm going to support this person. The court will say, oh, I'm going to support this person. And you know that when we talk about the court, we're talking about a side of a part of the government, a part of the 3 tiers of government, who we have the federal government, we have the executive, the legislature, and we have the judiciary. So we are not talking about some inanimate activities. We are talking about same people who have emotions. They would come in, and most times we are trying to demarcate emotions from what is really happening, but we can't, especially when it comes to these issues around. So when the court comes into the party, they will begin to maybe have a side or play a side. That will not really help the party to grow, because the essence of party system is to be able to form a coalition that will introduce the new government, or be able to carry on the existing government into what they should do. But looking at it right now, it is not really going well, as the court keeps intervening into parties. Is going to weaken the basic democratic facts and tenets that the party already has. So I feel it's a problem that we have to just look into, basically, to see what it is that they should not really get in.
Yeah, I quite agree with you that when you say that is a problem, it's indeed a big problem, for democracy. And when we speak to democracy, we are speaking about, an agreement, or the coming together of people, to get a government that we call a government of accredited representative, which the layman describes as a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And what does this tell you? That people must come together to decide on who should represent them, them and how they should be represented. And amongst those representatives, there has to be competition on who should represent the interests of the people. And one thing that you cannot take away from human beings is that wherever human beings gather, like you did mention, there will be disagreement and disaffection.
Yes.
And be that as it may, what is becomes more worrisome is that we are seeing a situation where we will see the party, the court, deciding a lot in the process of who and what position that the parties and individual occupy. It becomes more worrisome that where we expect internal political or party democracy, in political parties is no longer the issue. We know that according to the Electoral Act 2022, that every party member we are given, or every individual and political organizations, we are given the right to go to court where they feel that their right is being infringed on by the by the actions or activities of the regulator, being INEC, and where you are disenchanted by your party, your political party, mechanisms and organization. Yes, you are within the constitutional right to go to court for interpretation. But what becomes worrisome is that the court, now is gotten to a position where a lot of analysts see the court as being meddlesome in the affairs of political party. One expects that when there are litigious issues, that the court should be able to stand on the part of the constitution, which the Supreme Court a number of times have done by telling us that some of the issues they push back to political parties as internal affairs of political parties. Where we're seeing the court, especially when you cited the case of PDP, where we were seeing multiple litigation on same issue. We saw Shane Makinde, for example, in court in Oyo State. Everybody goes to court, what they call forum shopping, where you get a favorable judgment or a judge that will be disposed to your own position and get a court order or injunction against your political party becomes more worrisome. And is even more worrisome one will say that we're speaking to democracy, and democracy cannot thrive if political parties cannot thrive, because political parties, especially given the Nigerian position where we do not have individual candidacy, is the political party that will trust up the leadership that would, for example, at one point check the activities of the government in place. But where you see that the political parties are in themselves in perpetual litigation, where would they have the time to be the opposition that will check the activities of a sitting government? Is more worrisome that we can cite that the major political parties, major political opposition political parties in Nigeria are in litigation. And I'm quite happy when you cited the PDP, which we've seen that PDP has been fragmented by multiple litigations. Like you did mention, we'll see the factions led by Turaki are in court, the Wike faction are in court, and there's other, court litigations that are yet to be determined by the courts. So such situation, becomes more worrisome. Beyond the PDP, we just saw the Labour Party, their issue around Julius Abure and Nenadi Usman being, given a judicial sort of go ahead at reconciliation, where the court has now come out publicly to say that the tenure of Julius Abure long expired. But why were we in the courts for so long? And it becomes more worrisome that the courts in Nigeria are no longer speaking when they are expected to give direction on issues. And these are issues that a lot of analysts and Nigerians point to. Do we move ahead beyond the PDP and the Labour Party? Which other political party, even the ADC that is the fulcrum of the coalition, is equally have litigations, impacting its movement so far? We have people who have taken the ADC to court, and when you give the numbers, it's the same all over the place. The only party that seems to have their acts together seems to be the ruling party. And beyond that, one, begins to contemplate what will happen when we get into party primaries, as we'll soon begin to see, because we are nearing 2027 and 2026 will shape the political activities of 2027. It becomes more worrisome that the court cannot turn these perpetual litigants away from the court. Well, we'll talk about internal party organs. There will be disaffection, but political parties should have the strength and the structure to be able to resolve his internal crisis without going to court. So it's quite worrisome that this is a level where we find ourselves, and there's no gainsaying the fact that this would impact negatively on our democracy. And I tell you, there are a whole lot of issues over time. Let me cite an example. The issue around the tax reform, where we've seen and heard a lot of accusation on what was gazetted as being not being what was gazetted being different from the bill that was agreed upon at the National Assembly. And you do not see an opposition making a whole a big situation out of it. And that reminds me, pre-2015, what Lai Mohammed and Co did, that was holding government to account. We saw press conferences, but the opposition political parties are so fragmented, are so occupied with litigation, that they are not offering opposition. What we have is pockets of individual opposition, because we are beginning to see a weakened political party due to myriads of litigations that are in court, and it's more worrisome. And one can tell you that that will not augur well for our democracy. And I tell you, as we join into 2026, the APC may not be immune to this, process of a cycle of litigation upon litigation that we're seeing. And beyond that, we've seen situation where the court now determines, leadership in Nigeria. And it's more worrisome if the franchise, the right of the people to elect their leaders, is being petitioned for the position of the court. Is more worrisome. And one may advocate that our courts, begin to take a very stringent approach to these issues. The people that you call perpetual litigants should be cautioned to be able to, seek other internal resolution mechanism, rather than, believing the court that is already burdened with a whole lot of issues, to not be occupied with determining, internal political issues. That is quite worrisome for democracy and should be criticized by all Nigerians. And again, one thing I would equally advise the government in place, and I have heard people say it a number of times, how you manage the opposition goes a long way to strengthen your government and democracy. So if we've heard allegations against the ruling political party, but beyond those allegations, what are these political parties in themselves doing? Are they just what they call it, just another multi-purpose vehicle for politicians? And these are the issues. So until a lot is dependent not just on the regulator, speaking to Aneke, that is saddled with the responsibility of regulating the political parties, there should be stringent and strong rules guiding our political process and our political party. And until we do and have that, you will continue to see situation where there will be perpetual litigants, where political parties will continually be mired in litigation. And without the issue being resolved, we will not have the very representation that democracy has offered us. And it's quite worrisome.
It's very quite worrisome, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now we'll be moving over to our next paper, coming from the Vanguard paper, where the headline here said is talking about state governments who are set to share the burden of electricity subsidy payment with the federal government. The federal government says the move is part of ongoing reforms in the power sector to reduce federal spending and encourage states to take ownership of electricity distribution and pricing. However, there are concerns that this could eventually translate to higher electricity bills for consumers. Mr. Oche, I would like your take on this.
All right. When you see these headlines, what does it tell you? It tells you that simply that the federal government, feel they are now feeling the burden of the electricity subsidy. And given what, when we were speaking to the news headline in the Punch newspaper, we did mention that there's a lot of funds available to the subnational.
Yes.
And given the new reforms that we're seeing, you see that the position of the federal government seems to be weakened in terms of what is accurable to the federal, that the subnational are getting more, and they feel that it's time for the subnational again to take part of the responsibility. So Abuja seem to think that it's time that, yes, that the subsidy cost is explicitly shared by all the subnational, that is no longer for the federal alone to carry the burden of the subsidy removal. And when you look at the Power Assistance Consumer Fund, this is a very good development. If indeed these subsidies, are meant to trickle down to the people that need it. Speaking to the low income and vulnerable household, being able to have access to electricity, subsidized electricity, is quite commendable and is a step in the right direction. But now, if this is meant for the low income earners and the vulnerable in society, then there's no there should be no issue in letting the subnationals equally participate in the in the contribution for subsidy on electricity. However, having said that, the one should now focus on the quality of the service rendered. When you see that the federal governments are burdened with the heavy debt, due to the subsidy, we're seeing debts up to around 200 billion debt as a result of subsidy monthly, as a result of this subsidy. Then the subnational equally should come and assist to see that, yes, that this electricity is affordable to the common man. But beyond that, the issue is that despite the humongous amount that's being voted for subsidy, and one thing I know, that when this burden is shared between the federal and the subnational, then the hidden debts that rises as a result of subsidy on electricity will be well taken care of, because we see on monthly by monthly basis the debt continue to accrue due to this subsidy removal. So let them share it, and these hidden debts should be cleared away from the system. But beyond that, the question is, yes, we are spending this humongous amount. What the quality of the supply that we have, is it commensurate with what is being invested in electricity? You see, look at the Gencos, for example. A number of times we will talk about the Gencos and they mention debts and all that, but bringing the subnationals into that, for me, would improve the quality, not just the quality of services, but the quality in terms of generation and redistribution. And you go beyond that, you look at the issue of metering as well. You talk about the metering, the loss of revenue and all that. When all hands out, there are a whole lot of issues that will be, checked, that will be checked. And you see that the discos, around their territory would have increased performance as well. And again, then you may be able to see that the subnationals will have more interest in seeing how transparent the subsidies will be shared. But again, can all the states in Nigeria be able to afford this new, subsidy? Those are the questions that we
Yes,
want to now begin to
course.
ask. Yes, that's the
We have to
question
look
that
into
we'll have
it,
to
yeah.
ask. Though we are aware that there are states that have been able to come up with their own,
Yeah.
generation, speaking or regulatory agencies, even Osun State, Ekiti, Lagos, Enugu State, and Abia State. These are state subnationals that have their own regulatory agencies that have fight two ways, but there are other states that doesn't have that means and capacity. So how do we carry them along
Yeah.
to see that, yes, this is not just another policy, but this policy framework will be such that produces the needed result and report? Because a number of times when you go out to the street and speak with normal Nigerians, the issue they will ask you is, where is the power?
Yes, where's
Where
power?
is
This
it?
main thing,
And
this one
given
thing.
the fact that people feel that they pay more for power at this point compared to any other time in Nigerian history, leading me to ask questions about the rural electrification that a lot of our fathers, forebearers, our parents, and our current leaders enjoyed. There was a time in this nation when there was something called rural electrification, where the rural areas enjoyed electricity, coming from the federal government. There was the responsibility of the federal government to see that the hinterlands, the rural communities, were lighted up. Would we still have such a situation? People are now paying more, and what is the quality of services that is available to them? People complain that they don't see what they are paying for. And in this era where we have the band A, band B, band C, and all that, and the payment distributions are not equal, but even those of them that are in band A, do they have it available? Then you begin to ask about other questions that periodically we'll see that we'll talk about grid collapse. So what are we doing over this period to see that we upgrade the infrastructure available to us? Leading me to remember what Elon Musk is saying the other day. Are we, beginning to look at other means, of generating power beyond the grids that are collapsing incessantly? The
Yes.
other day he was saying that the solar is the next level for power generation. So what are we looking at as a people? We are in sub-Saharan Africa. We have the natural sun that we can tap into.
Natural sun.
Yes, the where we are, there are a lot of
Yes.
resources available to us that we can tap into.
Yes.
Though when I go this way, I may run against the environmentalists or the environmentalists that believe that coal shouldn't be used, because of the pollutant effect that we cause on the environment. But again, as a student of history, I go back in history and I look at the developing nation. At one point or the other in their history, they were dependent on coal to generate power. So if we are having issue with being able to generate the new generational level of power that we need, then we should rethink our approach to the whole
Yeah.
light issue. But
Yeah.
for me, it's a welcome development that this responsibility has to be shared between
of
the
course.
federal and the subnational.
Yeah.
And one thing that is certain is that they should see to it that not just voting subsidy to subsidize the cost and all that. They should equally see that the quality is improved,
Is improved.
and made affordable for the common man.
Yeah.
And leading me to the question I asked you this morning when I asked you how Nigeria is treating you,
Of
and you say
course.
Nigeria is treating you well and
Yeah.
fine. Then it's time for us to begin to think about what we do for Nigerians, and not always how and what we gain for Nigerians.
Because we are Nigerians.
Look at the tax accurable now. People complain that they are more taxed now than over the years.
Yeah.
So we should see consumer service. If we are paying more in terms of services,
Yeah.
being rendered, the government should equally say that they do more for the citizens. And like someone did ask, think of what you will do for your nation, not what your nation should do for you. Why would think in that line? The nation should equally think about what it should do for Nigerians.
Yes.
We've removed fuel subsidy. Then it's a welcome development that we've seen that light is being subsidized,
Yes, of course.
that electricity will be subsidized. But another issue rises: how are we going to measure the low-income and the vulnerable households in Nigeria?
Yeah.
I will leave that question for them to answer.
All right. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. This is all on our newspaper review today on Sunrise. Please do not forget that you can grab your physical copies from any of your favorite vendor or Kati paper online for more broader information. And up next is our sports update from the man himself, Good Hope, the sports oracle.
All right, thank you very much. Today in sports, it's clear that we are having Ademola Lookman. He has moved to Atletico Madrid, and he went on medical yesterday. So currently, Ademola Lookman is a player of Atletico Madrid. He just signed the contract early hours of today, where it's actually a record-breaking contract, and we're having this guy from Atlanta moving to Atletico Madrid. He says he's ready to face Barcelona and Real Madrid. You know that these are the top dogs in the Spanish league, so it's going to be something that we have to see. First of all, let's see what it is and how it is going in the newspaper of sports today, where we are having a lot of headlines and we are seeing other fixtures, things that should happen today in the world of football. So let's just see the newspaper headline in football. All right, so we are having the Ademola Lookman news already on the front page. We are also seeing that we have Lazio want to keep Dele Bashiru. Dele Bashiru, he featured in the AFCON, but he did not play a lot of games, of course. So that's just by the side. Looking at Chukwueze has shown quality. The Fulham coach said Chukwueze showed quality. This news basically is coming from the head coach Fabio Silva of Fulham, who said that he has shown a good quality because looking at his performance in the AFCON, not just his performance, of course, to some extent, it was to Nigerians and Africans who are in support of Nigeria was a lot of issue, especially that penalty time. He said that he is someone you can really trust. Looking at how he played against Manchester United on Sunday, the ball carrying and how he actually tried his best to pass through Diogo Dalot. But at the end of the day, he was not able to get that done. Of course, he came back. Last week also, he lost his mom. That is something that he had to carry and play that game. Of course, you actually have to commend him for having that backbone, for having that strong bone to move on with that. Now, I want to get you very fast to the side of Rodri faces ban after referee rant. You know that this was the same match that happened on Sunday, and a lot of things are going on. If you look by the side, you will see the fixtures and how it is, how it's going to be today in the world of sports. What is going to come to you? Arsenal is going to face Chelsea in the EFL Cup. I hope you watch that match as you enjoy your day. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that sports oracle. Thank you very much. And if I may ask, what are you expecting from Lukman? Multiple goals against Barcelona, Madrid?
Well, Lukman should do his best. He has been a household name in Atlanta over there in Italy. I'm expecting him to flourish and give his best, but I'm expecting goals. He knows how to deliver when it comes to big teams, when he faces big teams. Of course, like I told you, injury could be the core, but we are believing that he will deliver and be at his best. Now he's in
All right.
Madrid.
All right. Thank you very much for those sports updates. And moving over to the business news updates, we will start from the Nigerian stock market. Yesterday, Monday, February 2nd, 2026, the Nigerian Exchange Group opened with a new month with a marginal recovery following a bearish close in January. The benchmark all-share index ASI gained a slight 0.01%, closing at 165,384.63 points compared to Friday's close of 165,370.40. The subtle uptick was primarily driven by renewed interest in select blue-chip companies and industrial stocks. Looking at market capitalization, we have 106.53 trillion naira in a market breadth that saw 29 gainers versus 44 losers. And taking a look at the top 5 gainers, we saw that the session saw strong performance from mid-cap and insurance stocks, with several hitting the maximum daily price ceiling of 10%. Leading this pack is Premier Paints. Premier Paints yesterday closed trading at 11 naira, equally making a positive plus 10 adjustment. We are seeing Universal Insurance closing its book yesterday at 1 naira 32 kobo, equally on the positive side, and we're seeing that communication closing trading yesterday at 1 naira 55 kobo, making a positive 9.93% adjustment. They are followed by RT Briscoe, which closed trading yesterday at 8 naira 64 kobo, making a positive 9.92% adjustment. And moving over to the top losers, we are seeing that despite the marginal index gain, the broader market sentiment remained cautious, led by significant decline in tech and specialized investment. And we are seeing Omatech Ventures yesterday closed trading at 2 naira 70 kobo, making a negative 10% adjustment. And we are seeing Union Homes rate closing their book yesterday at 85 naira 40 kobo, making a negative minus 9.96 adjustment. And we're seeing Asa Masad Insurance closing trading yesterday at 14 naira 31 kobo, making a negative 9.94 adjustment. Deep Capital Management Limited closed yesterday's trading at 8 naira 46 kobo, equally in the negative of 9.90%. And we're seeing C&I Leasing as the fifth on this losing pack, closing at 6 naira 90 kobo, making a negative 9.8% adjustment. And looking at the naira performance at the naira market, we saw that Monday, February 2026, that naira has shown relative stability in both the official and parallel market, continuing the trend seen at the end of January. Central bank intervention and the electronic foreign exchange matching system have been credited with keeping rates within a predictable range as the new month begins. And at the official market yesterday, we saw that the naira opened as against the dollar at 1,396 naira 88 kobo, and against the British pound, we saw the naira at 1,909 naira 72 kobo, and challenging the euro at 1,515 naira 40 kobo. While at the parallel market, the naira was at 1,465 naira to 1,480 naira against the US dollar, and against the British pounds, we saw the naira at 1,980 to 2,010 naira as against the British pound. And competing against the euro, the naira was at 1,595 naira to 1,620 naira against the euro. And that is it for today on the business update. But do remember that the market is open and trading has commenced for the day. But do remember that before you make any financial investment, do well to consult a certified financial analyst due to the volatility of the market. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. And this is where we call it a day on sunrise. Please do not forget to follow us or call us on our phone number 07030437110 or visit us on our social media platforms across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, all at Aneke TV. I am Deborah Wakoba. It's always a pleasure having you on our show every morning.
All right. And to you, Mr. Goodhope, thank you for those in-depth analysis, for this post updates and all that. It's a pleasure to have you on Sunrise.
Thank you very much.
All right. And I'm Uche Osai. On behalf of all of us here at Sunrise on Aneke TV, we'll say thank you for watching and keep watching till we'll come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Ndị Igbo, this is a call to unity and thanksgiving. A historic day has been set. A day for one people, one voice, and one heart lifted in gratitude. For the first time in our history, Igbo archbishops and bishops, in one spirit, with Ohaneze Ndị Igbo, have set aside the last Saturday of January as the Igbo World Day of Adoration and Thanksgiving. On January 31st, 2026, from 9 a.m. to noon, the Igbo people at home and across the nations will stand as one. One language, one faith, one voice of gratitude. In churches everywhere, worship will rise in the Igbo tongue, echoing a story the world cannot forget. A people who walked through war, loss, and long years of marginalization, yet refused to be broken. This is not just a service. It is remembrance. It is survival. It is thanksgiving for a people who endured with faith. Anglican, Catholic, Methodist, Presbyterian, Pentecostal leaders, together with CAN, Southeast Zone.
In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
It was a solemn and spiritually uplifting gathering at the Holy Ghost Cathedral in Enugu as members of the Igbo community came together for the inaugural celebration and proclamation of the Igbo Day of Adoration and Thanksgiving. The annual observance, which will now take place every last Saturday of January, is dedicated to collective thanksgiving, deep reflection and spiritual renewal among Ndi Igbo. Presiding over the Holy Mass, marking the historic occasion, the Catholic Bishop of Enugu Diocese, Most Reverend Callistus Onaga, emphasized God's enduring faithfulness in preserving the Igbo people through generations. Represented by Reverend Father Michael Amobi Obu, the bishop noted that the Igbo nation is blessed with a strong identity rooted in faith, resilience, and communal values. He called for continued prayers for peace, unity, and sustained development across Igbo land. He explained that the event serves both as a unified act of gratitude and a solemn appeal for God's continued blessing upon the people. Highlighting the collaboration between cultural institution and the church, Bishop Anaga drew lessons from the biblical story of the 10 lepers, noting that only one returned to give thanks. He stressed that gratitude remains essential to receiving greater blessings and divine favor.
So I can tell that God who has sustained this race from that world till now will never leave us. He will be with us. Bless our fathers, bless our mothers, bless our children, and give us what belongs to us through Christ our Lord.
Of course, among the 10 lepers who were healed, one came back to give thanks, and Jesus himself was delighted. So I believe God himself will be delighted with this development amongst us as Ndibo, that we are thanking God, not just complaining always, that we've dedicated today to thank God in prayers for his blessings of survival on us. And I believe God will do more for us because of this act of thanksgiving.
Speaking on the inspiration behind the occasion, the Deputy President General of the Apex Igbo Sociocultural Organization, Ohaneze Ndi-Igbo Worldwide, Prince Okechukwu Nwadinobi, said the initiative was inspired by the collective wisdom of Igbo archbishops and bishops who saw the need to set aside a day to thank God for his goodness to the Igbo people.
Well, the message came from the church, from the clergy. During our retreat last year, first week of June 2025, Archbishop Madu presented a paper on behalf of the archbishops and bishops of Alibo, saying they had a message from God and that the message was clear, and they had all come to the agreement that it is something that is worth doing by Ndibo, and that they felt the best way and the fastest way of conveying the message to Ndibo would be through Ohaneze Ndibo. So after the presentation, we unanimously, as the National Executive Committee of Ohaneze, adopted the message and agreed that we should collaborate with the church to set aside and promulgate a day of Thanksgiving called Igbo Day Adoration and Thanksgiving. Every church in Alibo and beyond, and this is happening all over the world. We have Ndibo going to their various churches to say thank you, God Almighty, for saving our people during the war and also helping us to survive all that happened, all the deprivations, and today we are standing firm. We have our people doing very well all over the world, and we are very thankful. And we've come now to get, not individually, which has been going on in various homes, but today we have come together as Ndibo to say, God, thank you for saving us.
Also speaking, the National Publicity Secretary of Ohaneze Ndi-Igbo, Dr. Ezechi Chukwu, described the gathering as deeply symbolic in the spiritual life of Ndi-Igbo. He said the Igbo Adoration and Thanksgiving Day is a moment of praise to God for his kindness, protection, and guidance over the years.
It is an exercise that has spiritual symbolism
in the lives of Ndibo. It's a day of thanksgiving, a day of commendation, a day of praise unto God for his kindness and mercies unto Ndibo as a result of series of survivors of Ndibo as a people, starting from the Nigerian Civil War and other travails we've passed through as a people. So today is a remarkable day. In fact, this is the maiden edition. It was the Igbo College of Bishops that made the presentation during our retreat that God has actually asked us to undertake this step. So today we are marking this event all over the world and in all Igbo churches as a matter of fact. And we thank God exceedingly for that.
Other participants who spoke with Aneke TV, including Adena St. Rachel Ngozi of Umuada Igbo, Nigeria and the diaspora, also Celestine Aneke, chairman of Ohaneze Ndi Igbo in Eziagu local government area, and Dame Nkechinyere Ugwu, former financial secretary of Ohaneze Women Wing, praised the initiative as timely and unifying. The Thanksgiving event also symbolized unity, bringing together Igbo people from different communities, states, Christian denominations, and the diaspora in one voice of appreciation. The organizers said the observance is designed to reinform communal bonds and strengthen the enduring spirit of brotherhood among Ndi Igbo. They noted that the annual celebration is not only a remembrance of the past, but also a declaration of faith in a future anchored on gratitude, unity, and trust in God. Jennifer Onibo, Aneke TV.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on The Insight. Remember, The Insight is that program where we bring to you heartbeats of issues, topical headlines that help in shaping our nation. And today is no exception. In fact, today we are looking at the new Legal Practitioners Bill 2026. We are assuming and x-raying to know the implication for the legal profession. For over 60 years, the Nigerian legal profession has been governed by a framework designed for a world that no longer exists. Today, we stand at a crossroad. The Legal Practitioners Bill 2026 isn't just a legislative update. It is a total structural reset. By introducing mandatory tutelage, compulsory continuing education, a rigorous licensing regime. This bill aims to move us past business as usual. The question we are here to answer today is simple. Will these reforms finally restore public confidence in our temples of justice? Or are we simply adding more layers of bureaucracy to an already strained profession? And joining us this morning to x-ray this issue is a legal luminary, an activist, and a farmer, Ozo Nnadume of Okansi. Ozo.
Yeah, Uche, thank you for having me this morning once more.
All right, Ozo. Let's go right into this issue. Ozo,
Yes.
what are we looking at here? We are speaking of mentorship program or modern day apprenticeship in poverty. Because I asked this question, when we look at mandating the young Greeks to undergo 2 years of pupillage without discussing the remuneration, seems to me to be a 2 years of apprenticeship without comprehensive remuneration, becomes an apprenticeship in poverty.
Well, you see, when you refer to the Legal Practitioners Bill as a bill to reform the reform legal practice in Nigeria, I have said it in a lot of forums where I have gone to discuss this bill. That is not what it ought to be, because as far as I'm concerned, it is not reforming anything. There is just an amendment to 1962 Legal Practitioners Act. That's what they intend to achieve. They want to have an amendment, maybe a modern day amendment, to include 1 or 2 sections of what they think has not been in the Legal Practitioners Act. I have taken a deep swipe into that very bill, because this is almost the 3rd time I'm discussing it on media. There were a lot of things that are good there, fine. But a lot of things also need some questioning. Majority of the things they were talking about there looks at outcome. You don't reform anything from outcome. If you want to reform the journalism profession, you don't say whoever graduates from the College of Journalism or University of Journalism or has a degree in journalism should now come and do even 2 days pupillage so that you reform it. No, if you want to reform journalism, you start from entry point. That's what America did when they wanted to reform their legal system. The legal system in America was worse than Nigeria as at in the 60s and the early 70s. So their educational planners and curriculum designers sat up one day and said, no, we need to change this. Then I said, for you to read medicine, for you to read law, if it is law, you go and get a degree in any of the social sciences. If it is medicine, you go and get a degree in any of the pure sciences, whether it is medical allied or not. So in other words, the benchmark entry point for reading medicine and law now became a first degree. Now they also said, okay, how do we have now controlled entry point? How do we now control exit? They now said, okay, if you are going to practice law, say in the state of Michigan, you go to because virtually every university that offers law in the United States has a law school. That's why here Harvard Law School, this and so law school, every school that's just like if you are offering medicine in Nigeria, you have in a university teaching hospital where you go and do what we call the internship or the clinicals according to medical line. Now, if you must have to practice law in Michigan, for instance, the state of Michigan, you go to, after your graduation, first social sciences, first degree in law, then you go to 1 year law school in Michigan. If you want to practice law in every state of America, you look for the schools that offer broader courses at the law school that takes 2 years, which will entitle you to practice law in every part of the United States. Now, they also now broke it up into when you graduate, you, like this one now introduced, and they say continuum mandatory legal education. You know which line you are towing, whether you are towing the line of soliciting or the time of advocacy. Now, this is how to reform something. So when the thing took off, it did not mature that year. It might mature in the next 10 years. But after that next 10 years, maybe early 80s and mid-80s, We started seeing the effect of the American reform in the early 70s. So, but their own now, this legal practitioners bill is just talking about when you graduate from the law school. They're not talking about what will you have before you enter. And that is where the problem lies with a lot of courses in Nigerian universities. You see, some parents even go to the extent of bribing teachers to give their children a mark in primary schools and secondary schools. Some school students, when they get to SS3, they will say no, that the school where they are studying has a rigorous academic program. They want to go where they call special center, where they will go and pass WAEC. In those special centers, it's just where you go to cheat. Now you cheat and get 7 credits at a sitting. You also try to know how you maneuver your JAMB and make a very high score, because JAMB is a CBE testing. So it doesn't even give accurate IQ record of who is intelligent, who is not intelligent, even though it measures it to a reasonable level. Now you now go into the university. When the lecturers now want you to read and get you the international, the standard required of somebody in the university, you find it difficult to cope. The next thing you now do is you join court and take up arms against your lecturers to force them to give you scores. So that is where the problem is. So, but come to think about, let's get back to what we are discussing, that the legal practitioners bill. The bill has, first of all, increased, elevation to the rank of senior advocate from 10 to 15 years, but still left becoming a judge at 10 years. So what's the rationale? Are you now telling us that somebody who is going to preside over a case you are doing in court, that you should be more knowledgeable than him before you get elevated has been, I don't know. So that increase of 5 years is unnecessary. I don't see any rationale in that one. Because how many people even get to the rank of senior advocate at 15 years, at 5 years? Very few people. Especially unless where maybe you have your father as a senior advocate, the chambers has propped you from day one, you start attending Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, and the rest. So what remains of you is just to get the requisite financial chest to make the application. Otherwise, you have covered the trajectory that is required of anybody who wants to be a senior advocate. So the increase to 15 years is unnecessary, as far as I'm concerned in that bill. 2, like you said in your intro, I don't know any reason why anybody should say because you read law, you should be attached to a chamber for 2 years without saying what would be his remuneration for that 2 years. People might tell you, yes, lawyers have been coping now. Many of them stay more than 2 years, many stay less than 2 years, and they have not complained. No, you don't need to complain. Not all principals pay money. A lot of principals, you go to their chambers, they even find it difficult to teach you that law even, because that practical aspect needs to be taught, besides the one you learned at the law school. So how do you now cope? Maybe coming from your house to chamber, from chamber to court, and then back, and then do the normal research that is required of you. You can see that of medicine is also having issues now. Before, it has ever been, if you read medicine, say in University of Nigeria teachers will data absorbing for your clinicals straight away. You don't need to go to any other place because the university is there. But today, people who already maybe in a State University now apply to do their clinicals in University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital. And sometimes they consider them first, because maybe they have the connection, they may have the financial chest to bribe with some 1 or 2 people. Now, you see people who have graduated from the College of Medicine and have not gone for their clinicals, and they are still waiting in the house for schools that they will be posted to. Before it was automatic, but with the influx of people who are graduating from various schools, reading medicine, including private school, universities, you find out there's now a glut. What about law that churns out virtually harming thousands of people every year? Thank God that the law still have even a coordinated central pool called law school, where at least you know how many people will churn out to the society. Medicine may not have that now, unless there is somebody who is actually doing the research. Because in medicine, there is no place where people go for clinicals. Everybody who read medicine in all Nigerian universities. There is no other course that is done like law, where after graduating from university, you go to the central pool in Lagos or any other branch now. Because we were the last to read the single campus system. After our own set, the thing now scattered to multiple campuses from 3 to a lot. I don't know how many there are now. So very soon, they will also start having, as it is in the United States, like you have University of Nigerian Law School, Ebo State University Law School. So that when you finish, it's just like some in those days, people might be very kid, small boys. And in those days when we go to secondary school, when you finish class 5, you go to what they call upper 6. Like very few schools operate upper 6. Like then, when we were in school, the old Anambra, I recall CIC operates upper 6, St. Teresa's operates upper 6. In our Oka area, Holy Cross High School, Umuawuro, operates upper 6. CKC on DMGS. You can count the school that operates upper 6. So when you finish your class 5, you go there with the certificate you get there calls higher school certificate, HSC. And that's what people use to enter in. If you can't do it, or maybe you have no place where you can get admission to do it, you now go for the one they call advanced level GC.
Okay.
You read in your house. That one is advanced level. It's the same thing with HSC. At a time, then people now said, okay, this is giving a lot of trouble. Let us have a school where we will have people who will come for upper 6 only. First, it was in Mubi. I think it's again what to call it, Polytechnic in Mubi. They now run a 2-year program, upper 6. Then you have Oko Polytechnic then. It was not Federal Polytechnic, it was not even a state polytechnic, it was College of Arts and Science, Oko. So you do 2-year program for HSC. If you can't patch HSC there, then you go and write your advanced level GC outside the school. So the thing that started like, before you know it, many other polytechnics started offering, because in polytechnic before, you offer straight course to HND. It was after the people now protested about the dichotomy between HND graduates and BSc graduates. Then I said, okay, you also do 5 years. We will put all of you in grade level 8. But the thing is that they are going to break it up. They will now have another national diploma, 1-year attachment, 2 years HND. That makes it now 5 years. So when I'm talking about reform, if you want to actually do reform, you will start seeing the impact of the reform. But this one, they just made a legal amendment to the law of 1962. It's not a reform, because it will not change anything. And again, like I said in my other forum where I've gone, you are making a law for the regulation of legal practice in Nigeria. That's legal practitioners bill. That's what it's supposed to be it's called. Now, legal practice is like an industry. Some people buy the goods of this industry. Who buys the goods of the industry of legal practice? The clients, or the ones some people call litigants, but I don't use the word litigant because it looks derogatory. So the clients are the one who buy the product, the after product, buy product or after product of legal practice. Did you take care of them? Did you take care of the clients in that bill? You didn't. So the bill can be only for lawyers. So the clients who enjoy the product of that legal practice should also be taken care of. What happens if you come to a court and your case is delayed ad infinitum? Do you have any remedy as a client? If you file a case and decide the judge is compromised, and you petition the judge and say, don't handle my case, and they refuse you and say, you must handle your case, do you have any remedy in law under the bill? Like the one that is happening even today in Enugu. A young man that was incarcerated from the magistrate court.
Yes, I was coming to that. Because
okay,
we
fine.
getting the videos from that. I was coming to
okay.
that later.
Right.
We'll bring it up.
So that's why I said, generally, the bill didn't satisfy me.
All right. But before we get to this, I know you're itching to talk about that. I know you're aware of the happenings at the Temple of Justice.
Yes.
So, Barrister.
Yes.
What I'm asking, from your analysis, are you of the same school of thought that this whole amendment is an indictment on the educational system in Nigeria, especially as it has to do with the law degrees that these young wigs acquire after undergoing 6 years of university education, including the days spent in law school as well, and then they are now being told to go under 2 years apprenticeship system. And I ask, is that an indictment on the educational system in Nigeria?
Well, it is part indictment. It is not. It depends on how you view it. Because when you go to the class, you see, Nigeria made law program look an academic program. The law program is not supposed to be an academic program all through. Where you are supposed to do academic program is in the university. where you read what you call substantive law. Now, when you come to procedural law, that's the one you do at the law school.
Okay.
It should be 60% the practical course and 40%, in fact, 30% academic.
Barrister, wait.
Yes.
We'll have audience, we'll have viewers who are not lawyers.
Okay.
When we talk about substantive law,
Okay.
let's carry them along.
Yes, when you come to the university, you read the laws that, the ones you read from the textbook, they guide you. That's what they call substantive law. Like you go and talk about Nigerian legal system.
Okay.
You talk of law of thoughts.
Okay.
These things that you read like history.
Those are the ones we did.
Yes, we call
Nigerian legal
it
system
fine.
and the- yes.
So we call it substantive law.
Okay.
Now, the one that has to do with the procedure. Procedure is how do you now practice what you have learned.
Which is more important.
That's procedure, what is important. Because if you repeat some of the programs you have done at the substantive law stage at the procedural level, like law of evidence, compelling law, but a lot of laws you have read.
That's how you know how to maneuver and avoid technicalities.
Especially when you come and look at the laws from the rules.
Okay.
Because nobody teaches you rules in the university. It is at the law school. They don't tell you High Court rules of Enugu State 2020. Okay. You will now see the various chapters and various orders of the court. So what you do if you have insulted me, how do I file action against you? What does the rule say? Whether I'll file it by motion, whether I file it by writ, whether I file it by rejecting summons. The rule will tell you that and tell you how to do it. Give you an example towards the end of the rule. That's why it is called procedural law, because that's the procedure. Now, they now take that into the and tell the student to cram it up at the law school. It is what all of us went through, which is not supposed to be. Law school is not even supposed to be graded into first class, second class, third class. Fine. Usually it is either you make a distinction, you make a pass. But today they now say you make a first class, second class, third class, pass. Those ones are not for law school. Law school should be either you are exceptional, you make a distinction, because we must always encourage exceptionality, or you are just the normal student, average student, or slightly above average, so you pass. What is required is that you are called to the bar. So, but now they make it an academic institution where they say so and so person made a first class in this and that. They call you, those things doesn't count for us. What is important in law is the procedure. Learning the procedural law and know how to apply it. That's why people say even those who make a lot of beautiful degrees in the university don't make good practitioners as lawyers. No, it is normal. It's even in every course. If you read history and someone who made a first class in history, and you want him to come and be a good historian, trying to do the practical aspect of history, he may not be good in it. But if you tell him to teach history, he will teach it very well, because he's cerebral enough to know what he learned 10 years ago. It's still in his brain. So that is the difference. So that's the legal practitioners bill. Well, it has a lot of lapses where I have pointed out, and those lapses ordinarily should be filled before eventually it becomes law. Otherwise, what we have succeeded in doing is merely amending the 1962 Legal Practitioners Act. Amendment to a law is not a reform. Reformation goes beyond that. You don't chase reformation from exit point. You chase it from entry point. That is how we reform anything. And reformation doesn't come in a day and become effective. And like you said, indictment on the academic system in Nigeria, especially the law school. Yes, because it is in the sense that those students who graduate from the law school, they might not know their left from their right until they come to a chamber and they start directing them again. Because what they were interested in is cramming that procedure. Or that 8 rule test says to file a written address, you have to do this. You cram it. Ask him in the exam, he'll pour it for you. He will come there, he won't even know that under 7 rule 8 is found in High Court rules. It is you, the principal, will get the High Court rules. Open, like some juniors who come to my chambers. Initially I thought maybe, because many of us had about 2 degrees before we go into real law. So I thought my level of grasping at legal issues might be the same thing with them. You give the person an assignment, give him a file to go to court, you come back, your clients will start from there, quarreling with them till they get back to the chambers. So I now told everybody, if you are here, go and buy a notebook I'm not perfect, but the little ones I know,
You
I will
became
make
another
it.
lecturer.
Yes, I have to turn myself to another lecturer. So if we go to court, this is what the matter is there for. This is what you say. If the judge says this, say this. If it goes the other way, say the other way. Now, if it didn't go any of these ways and it goes, then you now use your own initiative. You are a lawyer. Know what you do.
Or they'll call you on phone.
No, most of the time they don't call me. You see, they call me when they have maybe finished with the matter. They come out and start calling me. But the one that announced me was quarreling with your client while you are coming back to my office. I told them, anybody who quarrels with his client, you are quarreling with your customer. And they invariably, in fact, any client who tells you what you did was wrong in court, that client is a good client because he gave you immediate feedback. So for you to go back and make correction. Because ordinarily speaking, like I said, law is the only profession where you practice it. Your client you are doing the job for is the first person to be called in court. If you have a case now, they will call which your side first, you answer present. They will call the person who have the case, the person answer present. They will now ask people, do you have a lawyer? Your lawyers will now stand up and announce their appearance. You will be standing there. So if the lawyer is doing it well, you know. If you're not doing it well, you know. It's not like medicine. If you bring any patient to the hospital, and he's going for surgery, they keep you in the reception, take him to the theater. If the man dies in the process, they'll come and wash your hands and tell your guy, he didn't make it. You cry home. If he comes and says, okay, the operation was successful, you praise God, which ordinary should not even be. Right. Because if anybody who dies out of carelessness or negligence of a doctor has some responsibility to talk for in law.
On that note,
yes,
we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll continue with this issue.
It's all right.
Okay, while we are waiting for that, let me ask Barrister. We're looking at this issue, and I'm seeing that there's a contention between the body of benchers and the NBA, for example. Are we seeing a situation where
You're welcome to another edition of
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, we'll be speaking with a legal luminary, a man who prides himself as a farmer, Ozo Nadiume of Okansi.
Yeah.
Ozo,
talking about body of benchers.
Yes, we're talking about body of benchers, and I was asking, it seems to be that there is, in these new reforms, that the power now is taken away from MBA and given to the body of benchers, by the restructuring that we are seeing in this very bill. Do you buy into that?
Yes, I do, because you see, the board of benchers now has been crowded with a lot of powers, which ordinarily should have been vested in an independent body like Nigerian Bar Association. So, but they now, like the issue of discipline, usually it is MBA that disciplines their men. Wherever MBA has issue with, wherever a lawyer has issue with anybody, be it a fellow lawyer, be it a client, and the matter snowballs into petitions to the Nigerian Bar Association Disciplinary Committee. The Disciplinary Committee, every branch has its own disciplinary committee. And these disciplinary committees, they do a good job. They sanction lawyers.
Okay, Barrister, sorry to cut you short. Please just hold on with the thoughts. Getting back this feedback, we're calling for the video that we just received from the court concerning the protest. Yeah. And I want to ask you what was actually happening, why the protest is going on at the court premises.
Yes, the protest in the court premises is just about the young man who was incarcerated.
Look at the video.
Okay.
How much they paid you for this matter, and we are not giving your thing. Come and tell us. And who is playing that music for him? He will tell us. We are here. We will die here today.
Yes.
Protest in High Court. This is unusual.
Yes.
What is happening here?
My good brother, that is the level our judiciary has gotten into. This protest this morning, the people are protesting the continued incarceration of one barrister, Bright Ngene, who won the Enugu South Urban Constituency into the State House of Assembly during the 2023 election. The young man won the election, and before you can say Jack Robinson, some charges were trumped up from his village in Apuke that community money was paid into his, I think whether his chamber account or not chamber account. And before one can say what is happening, the magistrate convicted him with the president general of the community. They went on appeal. Nothing wrong with magistrate can do anything like, because it's the elementary beginning of the court before you get to the way other judges will look at it. The president general appealed his conviction, just like Bright appealed his conviction. The president general was at the High Court discharged and acquitted, because according to them, the thing was, I think they say it was a necessity, because the account had issue over their petitions they have in their village, and the account was pegged, and people were still bringing money over land they should money that they are paying to them as their own revenue for the land they have sold to people. And they said, are they going to be carrying money about? Why the account is pegged? Because that their community account has a BVN. Say why it was pegged. If you go and open another one, that one will also be pegged until they sort out their problem with the police. So they now say, let somebody nominate an account. And that was how Bright nominated his. He's not even an executive. He nominated his, I think his chamber account, and people were paying money there on the ground that he was arraigned. No problem with the magistrate convicting him. That's the magistrate's own wisdom. But why the cause of this protest is because when the thing came on appeal to the High Court, because High Court is the first appellate court for magistrate court matters, it was transferred to a judge. I won't call him but judge's name. The first judge that handled it, I think he came out that day to read his ruling. I think they say, oh God, somebody's calling you on phone. He went to answer the call. After answering the call, he came out and recused himself and said, no more handling the matter again. Transfer the matter back to the chief judge for reassignment. The chief judge reassigned it to another judge, with all due respect. But he stayed longer. People made protests, even during the NBA conference. People made protests to the conference. The chief judge later assigned it to another judge, a lady judge, name I won't call, it's national television. The lady judge came out on the first day to hear the matter and said, my dear, the pressures on this case, I don't know what's happening in this case. I will not handle this case. She recused herself again and sent the thing back to the CJ. The protest now continued. Even there was a protest during the legal year that happened. I think it was on Monday last week or Monday this week. We had a legal year. People protested in front of the court again. Now, the CJ now reassigned it to a third judge. That's where it is getting interesting. Assigned it to a third judge. The third judge took motion from NBA president, I'm going to say branch chairman. NBA president came himself to Enugu last week, came with a lot of very senior advocates, because they felt that the young man's own was no more justice, but intimidation. So they came, moved their motion for bail. The judge was to rule on that motion today, this morning. That's the third judge now. Only to come to court and tell people that he was called by the CJ to send the matter back to the chief judge for reassignment again, according to, from the voice of the presiding judge of today, to send the matter back to the CJ for reassignment to justice, another judge. The first judge who actually recused himself, but the court erupted. The litigants flared up, but lawyers even supported them. And that's why I said the legal practitioners bill, they did take care of the consumers of the legal products. That's where I was going then. Because if they are taking care of the consumers of the legal products, if the chief judge cannot be held accountable, the judges who are shying away from their duties as judges, which if I were a judge, if I was made a judge, that's why I said I don't want to be. From day one, I have never dreamt of becoming a judge for one day. But if I was a judge, we were taught in the law school that the judges are what we call dominus litus their court. What it means in Latin is that they dominate their court. It's not if you are handling a matter, of course, will call you Uche. Don't do this in the matter you are handling. Then you are no more independent.
But is it within their legal rights, constitutional duty to recuse themselves from a case?
Yes, you
So
can.
in that case, there's no issue.
If you feel that a lot of pressures are being mounted on you, unnecessary pressures, you recuse yourself.
Okay.
Because two things are there. If you go ahead to rule on that kind of case, they'll say, okay, you ruled because maybe the people you are trying, if you rule in favor of them, they say people are trying, you are afraid of them. If you rule against them, they say yes, because government or whoever is calling you has told you not to rule. So the best option is to recuse yourself. So, but there is an Igbo adage that says, if you shoot the arrow and it falls, on a bridge, you shoot the second arrow, it falls on a bridge, then you are missing your target. Is it the bridge that you carve the arrow for? So the first judge recused, second judge recused, third judge recused. In a situation where we have over 2 million cases in Enugu High Court bench or judiciary, what is so special about this one? Why every judge is recusing himself if it has no political undertone? And the underlying factor is that the young man won an election. And the people he's supposed to represent, he has no representation for almost getting to 2 years. That is what it implies.
So how do we reconcile these two now going forward, and how do we resolve such issue?
No, what we need to do in that issue is the judge. The people are not telling the judge, grant him bail. They are not telling him not to grant him bail. They are telling him, rule on our application, because the judge is bound to rule on every application before him, either negatively or positively, either way. So rule. If you rule and say, I'm not giving him bail, no problem. There is still court of appeal. They can head to court of appeal. If court of appeal also rules not giving him bail, they can still go to the Supreme Court. So the High Court is just the beginning almost. So recusing oneself is bringing you to ground zero. Because when you recuse yourself and it goes to another judge, that judge starts afresh. Meanwhile, the young man is still in prison. So that's why I said the Legal Practitioners Bill ordinarily should have created a section for consumers of legal products. And these consumers of just like Nigerian, what you call it, Consumer Protection Agency. They don't look at legal prices as something that people consume. That's their mistake. They think it's the only thing you eat in their mouth. People consume the product of legal practice. If you brief me as a lawyer, you're consuming my services. So I am supposed to take good care of you. Just like if you produce apple drink and you want people to take the apple drink, invariably, the apple drink must be fit for consumption, either supplied by NAFDAC or by any other regulatory agency. So, but this one, nobody talks about what the consumers of legal practice can do to have maximum satisfaction for what they paid for. Because if this man Brighton get paid a lawyer to file this motion for him, he's expected to get good service from the lawyer. If it is now the judge or the judiciary that is presenting him, what is the repercussion? That is the way I'm going.
Okay.
So it's not just anything you do, you say, okay, let's all leave it for God Almighty. God Almighty will not come back here to read this law he has given me the power to read and then pass. He will not come back here to give you the brain he has already given you to coordinate this interview. So God Almighty has done what he can do for you by giving you good health, giving you a normal brain, making you a normal human being. So the rest is yours. You don't start with disturbing the person.
And these were the issues for you that should be in the
that bill. That bill should take care of the litigants, to take care of the clients. That bill should not only be talking about what lawyers should do, what lawyers should not do. Body of benchers, you recruit judges, you discipline judges, you discipline magistrates, you're also coming to discipline lawyers. But it's still getting too much for one person. They should unbundle those things. Even the body of benchers ordinarily should create affiliate body of benchers in the 6 geopolitical zones to make a lot of things easier. Just like this Central Supreme Court will operate here. Ordinarily, when we unbundle the Court of Appeal, People thought you were going to give, well, occasionally you have conflicting judgments. But once it will get to come to appeal and it will be resolved. So you can even unbundle Supreme Court. There's nothing wrong in unbundling Supreme Court. Place Supreme Court in the 6 geopolitical zones. So the body of benchers, they have beaten more than they can chew. And they have made it now look like a political assemblage where the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives should also be members of the body of benchers. This is wrong. As being the Speaker is not, what do you call it? The Speaker is not a lawyer, or the President of the Senate is not a lawyer. Then you tell him, as being he's a mechanical engineer, but has cut his onions in politics. You now tell him to come and regulate the way lawyers practice their law, or discipline them when they err. No, you get what I'm talking about, because there should be members of committee that will be set by the body of benchers. So that area where it has opened the door for politics, it means it's like a state capture. They also want to capture the judiciary and capture MBA. All right, so those things are not supposed to be. So everybody should understand that the body of benchers has their own role. They should not take over the role of the MBA. Even some pundits in MBA are saying, no. They are not taking it over. It is just modifying it. You know that. You know what's the modification. You know what's taking over.
Okay.
So if the body of benchers is coming to modify discipline among lawyers, they will have a lot of things on their hands, because I know the population of lawyers in Nigeria, right, and that you can now center it on the body of benchers. Even if you have made every member. And again, you find out that I think they now excluded, I think there was one, they excluded the president of the NBA. I think it was in, what committee was that? A privileged committee. That is the committee that confers leave to senior advocate. They now stated who and who could be members. And now they tactically removed the president of NBA, which is wrong. Because NBA has ever had a senior advocate as their president. First, since I was called to the bar, it has ever been senior advocate. Until 2020, when Olumide Akpata contested as president of NBA, he had overwhelming support from everywhere, and he won. And he wasn't a senior advocate. So maybe they think that privilege committee that confers the SEC rank on lawyers, that if you are not a senior advocate, you cannot be there. No, it doesn't follow.
All right.
You may not be a senior advocate, but that's why you should also have somebody who is not a senior advocate to be in that privilege committee, so that you make a case for people who are upcoming senior advocates. Because if you have only senior advocates in that committee, it implies that they will always be discussing issues of only senior advocates. No, so those who have not become senior advocates will not have a voice.
All right. Quickly, I now want to ask, now that we're talking about the body of benchers, but looking at the number of graduates who call to bar, law graduates that will call to bar yearly, and we'll look at the accredited law offices, are we going to have the requisite number to accommodate this number that we graduate annually?
Yes, we have. Well, law firm. But the thing is that you use the word that requires adjective, accredited law firms. What does it take to accredit your law firm? Go to Corporate Affairs Commission, get it registered, apply to law school, body of benchers. The body of benchers will accredit your chamber, and they post students to you. But the highest they have posted to my chambers once was about 5 students at a go. It has to be sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 1. But the highest they have posted to me once from 2003 or so, when they started posting students to my office on extent. So there are enough chambers to accommodate, but the problem is the chambers are there buoyant. All the chambers that operate on accreditation are they buoyant to have some stipends to pay, or is the Council of Legal Education going to be disbursing money to branches to pay these people, so that it will not be like the IT when they started this breakup of polytechnics first. The students who go at IT were paid direct from the federal government. At the time they stopped. And having stopped, you now see somebody on IT selling fuel at the petrol station, although some of them cleaning hotels as room cleaners. And this is somebody who read electrical engineering, who ordinarily should go for IT. He in electrical engineering company, because the aim of IT is industrial training to get the practical experience. So if it happens like that in legal practice, you might see somebody to finish that 2 years, just finish the 2 years and say, I was called about 2 years ago, then they can now practice. You will see people now working in hotel. You will see people now going even to learn tailoring for that 2 years so that they will not be useless. So that's what we don't want. So it has to be something attached to legal practice so that you now learn that practical aspect. Even if you're not going to practice, but learn it, the skill is important. So nobody says you cannot put it in.
There's another aspect to this bill that I want to draw your attention to,
Yes.
and that's the bill, introduces stricter regulation and licensing requirements for foreign lawyers wishing to practice in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Is this acceptable standard?
What stricter restriction are they getting? There's none. I've read that section. Simply that you maybe, if you read law in Tanzania and you are a Nigerian, by that definition you are classified as a foreign lawyer or a foreign practitioner.
Okay.
Now, if you must have to practice here, there may be 1 or 2 courses you must have to.
Sorry, let's get clarification. A Nigerian that read law in perhaps Kenya?
Yeah.
Okay, for not just foreign nationals, but even
No.
Nigerian.
Even you, if you go to Burkina Faso,
Okay.
read law in Burkina Faso, and you want to come to practice law in Nigeria, you are classified as a foreign attorney.
Okay.
And once you are classified as a foreign attorney, there might be some regulations you must have to undergo before you practice here. But what they have been doing all the while is that they undertake 2 bar exams. Yes, there's what they call bar 1 and then final bar exam. Because when I was in law school, we were there with about, at least in my hostel, we have about up to 10, about 12 foreign students, Nigerians who read overseas and who came to our law school. And there were also people from Cameroon, because Southern Cameroon operate the same legal system with us. They attend our normal law school, and after attending, you can practice in Southern Cameroon with ease. It is only when you go to Northern Cameroon. And you also find out that even those of us who actually read the Nigerian civil law here in Nigeria and attended the Nigerian law school, you find that many of us are not also very, very vast in Sharia law. So that even if you are taken to the north now and say you should be a grand Qadi, you go and start opening the books again, as I already, but the fact that you have been called to ban, they are a Nigerian lawyer. So what people could have ordinarily done, if actually it's going to be a reform, I keep on saying it, is to make it the American model.
To make it the American model?
Yes, if you want to practice law in the north, if there is a law school in the north, maybe, what do you call it? You can say American University of Nigeria in Adamawa State Law School. You attend it and then specialize in the laws of the northern part of Nigeria.
Okay.
If you must have to practice all over Nigeria, you come to now have about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or even 6 central law schools where you can now come and do 2-year program. That 2-year program, even those students who read the National Open University that went to court and were later told to come to law school, many of them did 2 years. In fact, all of them did 2 years. They did their bar part 1 and bar part 2 before they were called to the bar. Just like foreign students I'm talking about. So there is a good regulation. It's not a strict regulation. It has ever been there.
Okay.
The difference is that they now want to codify it.
Okay. But there's this part of the bill that allows for exemptions to the privilege. You're concerned with that? And I'm asking, is this a loophole in itself to allow connected people skip this whole program where the child of every other person is undergoing?
Well, that's an exemption. I have not actually studied the exemption and the conditions they laid down for those they want to exempt from it. But if you must have to practice law and there's privilege, you have to take the privilege.
Okay.
Whether you are the son of a Grand Qadi or whether you are the son of a president, it's immaterial. The important thing is that it is for your own good that you take the privilege. It's just like the mandatory NYSC. If people say they don't want to take the NYSC, if you are too old not to take the NYSC, you can take the exemption.
Right.
But then, like privilege, there's nothing giving you exemption in privilege. We need to make you learn it somewhere. Unless you have been a practicing lawyer before you go to read law, which is not proper. You can't be a practicing lawyer before you go to read law. I mean, those it was in the old days, the olden days that sometimes you make registrars of court magistrates. Because there are registrars of court who became magistrates who were not lawyers. Unless on that ground, such people, if you want to give them exemption, so be it. But not someone who has gone through the rigors of Nigerian law school and they tell him that you're exempting him. You are not doing anything good to the person.
All right. Barrister, for want of time,
Yes.
this one is going to be very tricky because I would want a yes or no, which I know
Go ahead.
will be quite difficult. But I'm asking, if this bill had been in place, let's say 30 years ago, the senior advocates who have around now, do you think they would still remain in the profession till today?
Why not? Once they attend they should, but once they attend their mandatory legal education, everything is about it. Because briefly, if somebody was told in court one day to, have you filed all your papers? He said, yes, my lord, I have filed all my papers. Say, have you filed soft copy? The man turned and asked us which one is soft copy. He's a very old man. He was called to the bar around 1962 or 63. So everyone started laughing. The man said, why are people laughing? I don't know which one, but my lord, which one is soft copy? So we now told you there's one we now put in the website of the man or her email of the judge, so the judge can read it for her own laptop, unedited. Yeah, I don't know that one. So that day, I don't see the man record again.
All right.
So that is the essence of continuous mandatory legal education.
That's
Yes.
the much you can take today.
Thank
on the
you very much,
Insight.
Richard.
And if you joining us, you remember that you are very important part of this program. Let us know what you think about what we've just discussed with the hashtag #AllAtAneke TV. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. And thank you, Ozon Nadiume Fokansi, for joining us today on The Insight.
Thank you, Uche, for having me once more today.
Yes,
I
and
really
until we
appreciate
come
it.
your way same time tomorrow, I still remain your host, Uche Osai. Bye-bye.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Helping others is not weakness. It is humanity. A kind word, a shared meal, a listening ear can change someone's life. You don't have to be rich to help. Compassion is the greatest wealth. Lend a hand when you can.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakba. And now to the headlines. Federal government commences accreditation process for 5 new permanent secretary positions. Nigerian police launch landmark trauma and mental health training for officers in conflict zones. Southeast Development Commission unveils long-term plan to address regional infrastructure deficits. And now to the details of the news. The Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation has commenced the accreditation process for the appointment of 5 new federal permanent secretaries following approval by President Bola Tinubu. Head of Service Didi Wilson Jack described the accreditation as a foundational phase in a critical national assignment that will shape leadership in the civil service. An accreditation committee has been mandated to conduct the exercise with strict adherence to established rules to protect the integrity of the process. Committee Chairman Olumiyiwa Abel Eniton warned that errors at this stage could undermine the credibility of the service. Under the Public Service Rules 2021, appointments are merit-based from 7 directors with permanent secretaries, 7 4-year terms, and renewable ones. The Nigerian Senate is resuming deliberations on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill amid pressure to conclude work on the legal framework for the 2027 elections. A 7-member ad hoc committee led by Senator Niyi Adebomire is set to submit its harmonization report after 3 days of review. The President of the Senate Chief, Godswill Akpabio, stressed due diligence to ensure the amended law can withstand legal scrutiny. The bill includes provision for electronic result transmission, QR-coded voters card, voting rights for prison inmates, and sanctions for vote buying and result falsification. Critics, including human rights lawyer Femi Falana, say further delay risks eroding public confidence. Opposition parties have also warned against time wasting, while the Senate insists it will fast-track the process for transmission to the presidency. The Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria has ordered the federal government to make anti-venom drugs free for citizens to address a growing snakebite crisis. The call follows the death of Abuja singer Ifunanya Wangene and highlights gaps in emergency response to snakebite even numbing. The national chairman, Ambrose Eze, said Nigeria records over 20,000 snakebite cases annually, resulting in approximately 2,000 preventable deaths and nearly 1,700 permanent disabilities. He called for anti-venoms to be fully included under the National Health Insurance Authority to remove financial barriers to treatment. Mr. Eze also advocated for support of local anti-venom production to reduce dependence on expensive imports and ensure consistent supply. It describes subsidizing treatment as a moral and public health necessity to protect vulnerable populations. An unexploded bomb was discovered at the United Evangelical Church site in Obo Hill, Aba, Abia State during excavation for a perimeter fence. Church members struck the object and one reportedly carried it to a borehole before the presiding priest intervened and evacuated everyone from the area. Military personnel responded to the distress call, securing the device and evacuating it before detonation. Officials said the church location in a high-traffic area of traders and passersby could have resulted in mass casualties if it exploded. Senior military sources stated Army headquarters has taken over the investigation. The object is suspected to be a relic buried for decades, discovered during a state government road expansion that required relocation of the church boundary. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and Trade Union Congress (TUC) have suspended a planned protest in the Federal Capital Territory after a late-night meeting with FCT Minister Mr. Nyesom Wike and the Senate Committee of the FCT. Workers have been directed to return to their duties post immediately. The development ends days of rising tensions and heavy police deployment that had threatened a shutdown of administrative services in Abuja. Details of the agreement remain pending, but normalcy has been restored to government offices across the capital. Labour leaders describe the engagement as fruitful, averting disruptions to services. The suspension brings relief to residents and businesses affected by fears of widespread demonstration. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has declared the end of long-standing Monday sit-at-home order in Anambra State. He led a high-profile walk through major commercial centers in Onitsha, including Onitsha Main Market and Oshe Market. It demonstrates how return to normalcy economic activities. The practice, linked to separatist group intimidation since 2021, had persisted despite official cancellation and significantly affected the regional economy. Traders and shoppers participated in the walk to show confidence in security improvement. Governor Soludo warned that traders who fail to reopen risk sanctions, but high voluntary compliance has been reported. State governments and security forces remain on alert to sustain the gains and boost the state's commercial recovery. The All Progressive Congress has recorded over 7 million new members in its nationwide e-registration exercise. Party National Youth Leader Dr. Dayo in Abeokuta, Ogun State. The surge reflects increased youth participation in the party's political processes. Israel highlighted that the digital platform has mobilized young Nigerians, citing initiatives such as the student loan scheme and credit corps as evidence of opportunities created under the current administration. He described the registration as confidence in the party's direction, addressing economic concerns. Israel acknowledged tough reforms, including fuel subsidy removal, but said the economy is stabilizing. He urged continued mobilization, setting a target of at least 500,000 registrations from Ogun State. You're watching Aneke TV News across the country. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now here's a quick reminder of major developments in the news. Federal government begins accreditation for 5 new permanent secretary positions. And coming up shortly, Nigeria police roll out trauma and mental health training for conflict zone officers. Southeast Development Commission unveils long-term plan to tackle regional infrastructure gaps. We'll be right back. Advertise with us. Cover your events. Share your story. Call 070-30437110 today. Aneke TV. Move with the world. Welcome back. Still on the news, the Nigerian Police Force has commenced a specialized 90-day training program focused on addressing post-traumatic stress disorder and other mental health challenges affecting its personnel. The initiative was declared open in Jos by Deputy Inspector General Mr. Frank Mba, who said officers deployed in high-conflict areas often face severe psychological strain in the line of duty. The program is targeted personnel from states such as Borno, Zamfara, and Katsina. The training is being implemented through a partnership involving the University of Jos and the United Nations Development Program. It combines academic knowledge with practical policing realities, featuring 60 days of classroom sessions and 30 days of simulation exercise. Areas of focus include crisis intervention, ethical decision-making, and emotional resilience. Organizers say the goal is to improve officer well-being and enhance community relations. Participants are expected to apply the skills within their commands and provide peer support as part of broader efforts to strengthen professionalism and mental health awareness within the force. A faction of the People's Democratic Party, aligned with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has fixed March 28 and 29, 2026 for its national convention in Abuja. The decision follows the Federal High Court ruling in Ibadan, which nullified the rival convention and removed the leadership led by Taminu Turaki. The faction says the judgment affirms its authority to organize a fresh convention. The group has also released a timetable for ward, local government, and state congress scheduled for February and March. Factional National Chairman Abdul Rahman Mohammed stated that the process is aimed at producing an elected National Working Committee in line with the party's constitution. Leaders within the bloc described the move as critical to restoring order within the party. Convention planning committees have been activated, with the faction expressing confidence that the process will reposition the PDP ahead of future elections. The leadership crisis in the Labour Party has deepened as the Julius Abure-led National Working Committee rejected reconciliation efforts by Abia State Governor Alex Oti. The faction described the peace move as premature and maintained that ongoing legal disputes over the party's leadership must be resolved first. It also confirmed plans to appeal recent court decisions. Governor Oti had earlier called for unity and proposed a reconciliation committee backed by the Nenadi Usman-led caretaker panel recognized by Aneke. However, the Abure camp insists the caretaker body lacks legitimacy and cannot serve as a neutral platform for peace talks. The federal government has announced that it will no longer bear the sole responsibility for electricity subsidies beginning in 2026. The Director General of the Budget Office, Taminu Yakubu, announced this at a budget workshop in Abuja, saying subsidy costs will now be shared among federal, state, and local governments. The new approach aims to improve transparency and reduce hidden liabilities in the power sector. Under the framework, any tier of government choosing to subsidize electricity for its residents must commit to funding its share. Officials say the policy is intended to encourage greater accountability and ensure support measures are properly targeted. Government also announced a shift towards a more disciplined budgeting model in 2026, focusing on finance-ready projects. Agencies have been directed to prioritize deliverable infrastructure and social services as part of efforts to strengthen fiscal sustainability. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reaffirmed the state's commitment to attracting global investment by reducing bureaucratic barriers and expanding infrastructure. He made this known at the Nigerian-UAE Investment Forum in Victoria Island, assuring investors of a secure and business-friendly environment. The governor highlighted major projects including the Lekki Deep-Sea Port, plans for a second port in Badagry, and a proposed new international airport. He said the state is also developing a large logistic hub to improve trade and agricultural supply chains. Governor Sanwo-Olu further announced progress on the Lagos International Financial Center, expected to be unveiled within a year. The project is designed to position Lagos as a leading financial hub in Africa and stimulate broader economic growth. Vice President Kashim Shettima has launched a nationwide program to provide free financial literacy and digital skills training to 10 million Nigerians. The initiative targets women and youth and is being implemented by the Presidential Committee on Economic and Financial Inclusion. The federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding with 6 professional bodies, including ICANN and the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. The organizations will support curriculum development, certification, and mentorship for participants. Officials say the program will use a digital platform to reach beneficiaries across the country. The initiative is aimed at strengthening financial inclusion and equipping citizens with skills for the digital economy. Access Bank PLC has appointed Ms. Ifeyiwa Osime as chairman of its board of directors following the retirement of Mr. Paul Usoro. The announcement was made in a statement filed with the Nigerian Exchange Limited. Osime joined the board in 2019 as an independent non-executive director. She has previously chaired key board committees covering human resources, sustainability, and corporate governance. Her professional background includes legal practice and corporate advisory roles. The bank's leadership described her as an experienced professional with strong commitment to its strategic goals. The outgoing chairman, Paul Usoro, was commended for his contribution to the institution's growth. The Southeast Development Commission has unveiled plans to produce a long-term regional development blueprint known as the Southeast Vision 2050. The managing director, Dr. Mark Okoye, announced this in Enugu, stating that the plan will harmonize development strategies across Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states. A 2-day stakeholders forum is scheduled to hold in Enugu to gather input from government agencies, lawmakers, private sector, operators, and civil society groups. Discussions will focus on infrastructure, agriculture, and industrial growth. Okoye said a draft of the document will be released for public validation after the consultations. The Commission says the initiative aims to coordinate long-term planning and address the region's infrastructure gaps. New data from the Central Bank of Nigeria indicates that over 300 million barrels of crude oil were exported in the first 10 months of 2025. While domestic refineries struggled with supply shortages, industry groups say this has limited the capacity of local refining operations. Refiners report that some plants are operating far below capacity due to limited access to crude feedstock. The situation has led to increased crude imports by local refiners despite Nigeria's status as a major oil producer. Regulators say domestic refiners have at times declined available supplies over pricing and crude grade concerns. Seed Pro Africa has inaugurated a vegetable seed processing facility in Kano aimed at reducing Nigeria's reliance on imported tomato and pepper seeds. The company says the plan to produce improved seed varieties suited to local climate conditions. The project is supported by the Africa Enterprise Challenge Fund and includes a program to train and engage women farmers in seed multiplication. Beneficiaries are expected to receive technical support and improved inputs. The company also introduced home gardening kits to encourage small-scale food production. Stakeholders say the initiative could contribute to food security and lower input costs for farmers. Championship club Coventry City has signed Nigerian midfielder Frank Aneke on a season-long loan from Premier League side Brentford. The deal includes an option for a permanent transfer if the club secures promotion. Aneke made 87 appearances for Brentford and has earned more than 40 caps for Nigeria's national team. Coventry says his experience Advertise with us. Cover your events. Share your story. Call 070-30437110 today. Aneke TV. Move with the world. Welcome back. Still on sports. Team Nigeria has moved its training campaign to the Lagos Lawn Tennis Club ahead of its Davis Cup World Group 2 tie against Uzbekistan. The match is scheduled for February 7th and 8th in Lagos. The Nigerian squad includes Daniela Deleye, Canis Abua, Michael Emmanuel, and debutant Abubakar Yusuf. Officials say preparations are focused on adapting to match conditions at the venue. The Nigerian Tennis Federation says logistics and security arrangements have been completed. The tie offers Nigeria a chance to advance in World Group 1. Chioma Adeleke, wife of musician Davido, has publicly celebrated talent manager Ubi Franklin on his birthday. In a social media post, she described him as a close friend and prayed for his continued success. Franklin has worked with Chioma for several years in a professional capacity and is regarded as a long-standing associate of the family. The birthday message attracted reactions from fans and colleagues. Observers note that the tribute reflects enduring professional and personal ties within the entertainment cycle. Nollywood actress Sarah Martins has shared a public message of her appreciation to colleague Destiny Etiko. In a social media post, Martins praised Etiko's support for and kindness within the film industry. She described Etiko as a dependable figure who assists others behind the scene. The post generated positive responses from fans, highlighting solidarity among actors. Industry watchers say such public acknowledgements help promote collaboration and positive relationship within Nollywood. And now to end news across the country, here are the main points again. The federal government has officially begun the accreditation process for 5 new permanent secretary positions, a move aimed at strengthening leadership across key federal ministries. The Nigerian Police Force has launched a landmark trauma and mental health training program for officers operating in conflict-prone areas designed to improve well-being, resilience, and operational effectiveness. The Southeast Development Commission, SEDC, has unveiled a long-term development plan to address persistent infrastructural gaps in the region, targeting roads, powers, and public facilities to boost socio-economic growth. And that's news across the country at noon. For breaking news and eyewitness reports, call 070-3043-7110 or follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, or Aneke TV. On behalf of the producer, Chidima Sogwa, and the entire news team, I'm Deborah Wakuba. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Depression is more than sadness. It is a medical condition that affects thoughts, emotion, and daily functioning. Many people struggle silently, masking their pains with smiles or business. This silence often makes the battle harder. Recognizing symptoms like fatigue, isolation, and loss of interest is an important first step. Depression is not a sign of weakness. It is a health challenge that requires care and understanding. Just like any illness, it deserves proper attention. Help exists through therapy, medication support groups, and open conversations. When society treats mental health seriously, more people find the courage to seek help. No one should suffer alone. Compassion can save lives.
Love versus money in Nigeria. What do people think? Is love really enough, or does money always play a role in relationship in Nigeria? We went out to find out.
Of course, yeah. Love can survive without money. It depends on the partner. When both of you are in love, you believe in future, that tomorrow will be better than today. So with the love, with togetherness, you can make it. You grow your family, you grow your love, then money can now come in. But you can see a family where there is money. When you enter there, the money might vanish away and the love will also disappear. But once you have that genuine love will be there, then the money will also be there too. Like myself, I married an average man. He's not wealthy, but they were living together happily, surviving the Nigeria harsh economy. So that's why I said that, yeah, with the current situation in Nigeria, love can still exist without money.
Currently in Nigeria, I'm not sure. It depends. If the two partners are both financially okay, it can. But if it has to do with two broke people, I'm not sure. If I'm broke, I cannot marry a broke guy. I can't think about marriage. So that's it. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I think love can survive without money. Because love can be exchanged with materials. It's not just about money. And it can be exchanged, it can be shared with value. When you offer value, you are not just offering money, you are also offering hope and any other things that comes with it. It's not just about money. But money helps in spicing it up, though.
It's a very difficult thing, a very difficult situation, if you put it like that, because at times money is what keeps things stable in a house between two people. If there is no money, a lot of problems comes up, a lot of financial issues can cause relationship problems, can cause arguments between the two individuals. So it's not that it cannot happen, but it's very difficult. But it's possible because at times partners can be very supportive of each other and help out no matter the situation that arises. So it just depends on individuals, how they behave and their own traits towards their partner at times when difficulty arises. That's what will determine what will happen.
Of course, it can survive. Love is something that is so mutual and is emotional. So even without money, if you love someone, you can work hard with the person so that the money will come. You get? Like as a lady now, if you meet a man that doesn't have money or a man that has money, as a lady you are supposed to be investing in yourself too. So that even if the guy does not have, you'll be supportive to the person. to the guy that is with you. So love can eventually survive without money. As far as you are hardworking and you have ambitions, I can go with you because I know that once you are working and working, one day it will click and everything will be fine.
Human beings need money to survive. It's not even about love. Every day you live, you must sustain your physical body. So as a human being, for you to live, you need money. Then love is an expression of our living reality. So as long as human beings require money to live and survive, it's already obvious that whatever relationship you are in, you will require money to survive.
After God is money now. Because without money, there will be no love. Apart from God's love and God himself. Every other thing without money is just fake. Absolutely.
Yes, because there's true love, shall. There's a guy who will love a guy without his money. For me, I can stay, as far as the love is good without money, I can stay with it. But if the girl love me without my money, it's good, sha.
No, you cannot. Because nobody feel love you if you not get money now. That is it. Even you whether ask me question, I know say you not feel love me if I not get money. That is it now.
Of course, it's possible. Of course, it is. It is possible. Only when we love genuinely. Just like Christmas. The reason why we are celebrating Christmas, that is Jesus Christ. There is no love that is greater than the one that he has shown. His love is not because of money. And he gave us that example. If we can follow his footsteps, it is very, very possible. Love is not money, but sharing.
For me, everything depends on the understanding we share. Love can literally survive between the man or the woman or between the country. Like, everything depends on how we understand it, you understand? So that is important. But most especially for me, the money is important. Because there are some certain things that money is being used for in the relationship. So that's the thing.
What else? I don't understand the question. Love will survive in Nigeria. As in, love can survive in Nigeria without money. Even money will not even survive in this Nigeria. Talk more of love. It's better we find love outside the country. That's what I'm saying.
From the streets of Lagos to towns across Nigeria, opinions are split. So what do you think? Can love really survive without money? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Mesoma Igwago, Aneke TV.
In functional democracies and competitive economies, meritocracy is not a slogan, it is a system. A system where competence determines opportunity, performance drives advancement, and leadership is earned, not inherited or imposed. In Nigeria, however, the persistent triumph of mediocrity over merit continues to shape recruitment processes, elective positions, and leadership outcomes across critical sectors of national life. From public service employment to political office, from academia to corporate governance, troubling pattern has emerged. Access often trumps ability, loyalty outweighs competence, and short-term political calculations override long-term national interests. In the public sector, recruitment exercises are officially designed to be competitive, involving written examinations, interviews, and eligibility screening. Yet, multiple surveys and independent audits have consistently shown that informal influence, patronage networks, and bribery remain significant determinants of who gets hired. This reality has produced ministries, departments, and agencies burdened with underqualified personnel, struggling to deliver on complex policy mandates in a rapidly evolving global environment. The consequences are not abstract. They manifest in delayed project execution, weak policy implementation, inefficient service delivery, and ballooning recurrent expenditure with minimal value creation. When institutions are staffed without regard for skill or capacity, governance becomes reactive rather than strategic. The problem is not limited to recruitment alone. Nigeria's elective political system reflects the same crisis of merit. In many cases, candidates emerge not through rigorous debate, policy clarity, or intellectual depth, but through financial muscle, political godfathers, or ethnic calculations. Electoral outcomes frequently reward popularity, patronage of vote buying over competence and vision. The result is a leadership deficit that cuts across local government councils, state assemblies, governorships, and even the national legislature, institutions constitutionally taxed with lawmaking, oversight, and representation, yet often lacking the technical depths required to interrogate budgets, scrutinize policies, or design forward-looking legislation. Other sectors tell a similar story. In education, the erosion of merit in academic appointment has weakened research quality and global competitiveness. In some tertiary institutions, promotions and leadership roles are influenced more by internal politics than scholarly output. In the corporate space, family ties and informal networks sometimes override professional management principles, limiting innovation and sustainability. Ironically, Nigeria continues to produce world-class professionals who excel in merit-driven systems abroad, from medicine and engineering to technology, finance, and academia. Their success outside the country reinforces a painful truth. The problem is not Nigerian capacity, but Nigerian systems. Countries that have achieved rapid development offer contrasting examples. Singapore, Rwanda, and South Korea institutionalize meritocracy through transparent recruitment, performance-based promotion, and zero tolerance for patronage. Leadership selection in these systems prioritize competence, integrity, and accountability, even when politically inconvenient. Back home, the cost of failing to do the same is increasingly evident. Brain drain has accelerated as skilled Nigerians seek environments where effort is rewarded fairly. Public trust in institutions has declined, and citizens grow more cynical about processes they perceive as rigged or predetermined. Yet, experts argue that the tide can be turned. Strengthening meritocracy requires deliberate reform, not rhetoric. Transparent digital recruitment platforms, independently supervised examinations, enforceable sanctions for recruitment breaches, and clear performance metrics are critical starting points. In the political space, electoral reforms that reduce the influence of money, strengthen internal party democracy, and encourage issue-based campaigns are essential to improving leadership quality. Civil society, the media, and the electorate also carry responsibility to interrogate candidates, demand competence, and reject mediocrity at the ballot box. Ultimately, meritocracy is not elitism, it is fairness. It is the assurance that every Nigerian, regardless of background, has a genuine chance to rise based on ability and effort. Without it, institutions weaken, leadership falters, and national ambition remains unrealized. For Nigeria to compete globally, govern effectively, and harness its vast human capital, merit must no longer be optional. It must become the standard. In recruitment, in elections, and in every field where decisions shape the nation's future.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. It is the quiet dignity of those who serve when no one claps and rise when no one cheers. In a world shouting for attention, humility whispers truth. It chooses peace over pride and silence over show. It knows that value isn't in volume and honor isn't always visible. The humble carry unseen power. They lift others without needing a pedestal. And in doing so, they rise higher than ego ever could.
Love versus money in Nigeria. What do people think? Is love really enough, or does money always play a role in relationship in Nigeria? We went out to find out.
Of course, yeah. Love can survive without money. It depends on the partner. When both of you are in love, you believe in future, that tomorrow will be better than today. So with the love, with togetherness, you can make it. You grow your family, you grow your love, then money can now come in. But you can see a family where there is money. When you enter there, the money might vanish away and the love will also disappear. But once you have that genuine love, love will could be there, then the money will also be there too. Like myself, I married an average man. He's not wealthy, but they were living together happily, making, as in surviving the Nigeria harsh economy. So that's why I said that, yeah, with the current situation in Nigeria, love can still exist without money.
Currently in Nigeria, I'm not sure. It depends. If the two partners are both financially okay, it can. But if it have to do with two broke people, I'm not sure. If I'm broke, I cannot marry a broke guy. I can't think about marriage. So that's it. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I think love can survive without money because love can be it can be exchanged with materials. It's not just about money, and it can be exchanged. It can be shared with value. When you offer value, you are not just offering money. You are also offering hope and any other things that comes with it. It's not just about money, but money helps in spicing it up, though.
Well, it's a very difficult thing, a very difficult situation, if you put it like that, because at times money is what keeps things stable in a house between two people. If there is no money, a lot of problems comes up, a lot of financial issues can cause relationship problems, can cause.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the entertainment segment of this time and this day. I am your one and only Commissioner of Enjoyment, and I'm just starting this with this kind of vibe because I'm about to unleash. So you know how this happens, you know how this works. Today is Tuesday, and what we do here on Tuesday is not to motivate you, but to encourage you to get better and do what you need to do. Because, man, we have a lot of things, and I'm not doing this alone. Today, I decided to switch sides. I am the oxblood pepper. And you know what oxblood pepper is? Because oxblood pepper, if you put tatafo in the fridge, it turns to oxblood. So today, I came with hot. But I am not doing this hot thing alone. I came and I have the social lawyer with me. Now, let me tell you something about social lawyer today. She's ready. They told her to pepper me. Now, one thing you will see is that she is a mixture of everything good and classy, everything awesome and nice and intelligent. And I'm telling you that social lawyer came today with her own spray of black pepper. I will spray my own pepper. She will spray her own pepper. Let's see how it goes. Now, hello, social media. Good afternoon. Good day. I'm trying to be nice because, here in entertainment side of the day, we try to, make you understand and be a good guy. But, we've been talking about this, that I'm more beautiful than you.
Have you ever heard that?
Well, I've heard it, and that means that's one of the things we say when we are in California.
Do you know why I said so?
Okay.
Because this morning you're feeling hot. So in the afternoon or in the night, you don't know what is good.
Right.
That awaits you there.
That awaits me there. So, well, I know good things.
So enjoy the moment.
I will enjoy the moment, of course. Great things are waiting for me, social lawyer. And I want to ask you, how are you feeling today? I like how calm you are, because I know this is not how calm you used to be. You're just trying to, masquerade, because,
Like I said,
so now,
I was actually referring to myself.
To yourself. Man, you're going to bomb us, eh?
Yeah.
You're going to do us some crazy things.
Not crazy. I will do it in a more classy and demure way.
Because she said the moi moi. This is another slang. When I'm trying to be nice, these people are bringing to my constituency as the commissioner for enjoyment more slang. Think about the moi moi. We're talking about the meal, and I'm saying the moi moi, but it's fine. And one of the things I want to bring your way, I've already started asking the question. And first thing I want to ask social lawyer, please, me and you, who is more finer?
Anyway, do you know, it's like when an ape gives birth to a child, he looks at the child and be like, yeah, I'm actually the one that actually gave birth to me. So the answer is just right in front of you.
Eweli Weda, who is ape? Who is a human being?
I just said something. You are old enough to
No.
understand.
Who is ape? Who is human being?
No. You are supposed to understand. You don't need to explain everything. Just
okay, goody. Calm down, Commissioner. Calm down, Commissioner, because it's gonna be hot now. Now, I was trying to know, first of all, there's this thing we're trying to talk about. If you get married tomorrow, can you be able to go through your husband's WhatsApp, his phone, go through his phone, read his messages? Can it be? Do you think it is going to make sense for you to do that even without his consent?
Well, that's why they say marry your best friend.
Yes.
Your best friend is someone that understands you.
Okay.
Someone that doesn't have the issue like has a normal regular person, sees as an issue. She should be able to. You already know this person. You already know how he will react if you do this kind of thing. So you don't even need a God or anyone to tell you that actually this person is going to react this way. So if I actually marry someone, not someone that I will marry someone that is way older than me.
Okay.
And you expect to go to the person. Respect. And especially an Anambra man. I'm sorry.
You are not calling a particular consequence. Commission of enjoyment. I don't call consequences, but you are calling consequences.
So obviously, I think marrying your person.
Your person, right?
Yeah, your person precisely will help reduce the workload of explaining too much.
Okay, so how long will you be with this person to know he's your person? Or how long will you guys be to know this is my bestie? Is it a bestie at first sight or a bestie in 7 seconds? 7 seconds, I mean, when you meet people, you have to impress them in 7 seconds.
No,
and after 7 seconds, we're done.
Connection.
Connection is soul, right?
It's soul and divine.
All right, so Bluetooth connection, I off you because I was trying to connect with you through Bluetooth. So I've off Bluetooth now.
It's divine because you may know someone for ages and you still don't understand the person, and you people are not able to connect solely with each other. So, but you can meet someone just today. You people are just
vibing, bro.
Vibing like some people that knows people for ages. That's why you see years of friendship doesn't determine the longevity of marriage.
Right. Yes. Okay, now let me ask you another question. As you talked about meeting and vibing, does vibing remove quarrels? When, let's say you are having issues with this person, does it mean that you guys will never quarrel?
No, it doesn't mean that you guys will not quarrel.
What does it mean?
The vibes, the only thing it does is to regulate the quarrel.
Okay, so
you guys know each other.
We're moving from quarrel to vibes back to quarrel.
Yeah, so what you understand is that vibing will actually regulate the quarrel in the sense that as you guys are quarreling,
Okay.
you know what you guys will do to each other that will actually bring you people back to your normal state. It's just like when you vibe well with someone. You already know that when you come, give the person this, or do something, take all the person, the person wants, even if the person don't want to laugh.
Tinkolo, tinkolo, little star. I on my tinkle
Oh
Bluetooth.
my God.
Tinkolo, tinkolo, little star. Okay, Chiku, wait now. Uche, wait now. What is that? Anyway, I on my tinkolo, tinkolo, little star because social lawyer has said that it is just the vibe. Well, I'm telling you that I think she's very right. But social lawyer, finally on this matter, there are girls who have you not seen these girls that say they cannot marry a man if he's not up to 40? They are young, they are 19 years, 20 years, and they are telling you that no, I'm attracted to older men. What do you think of? And they went and
Because they know that
what are they looking for?
they're looking for someone that will
Be their father.
Yeah, father.
Their father and husband.
And you know, father
My
comes
husband,
with
father, daddy. Cash, ego. You see,
I think the elderly ones get money out. You can actually squeeze out money easily from them than the younger ones. The younger ones will be like, why am I giving you money? What are you using to spend? But the older ones know that you need money.
Now I want to throw a jibe. But this jibe is very not controversial. It's constructive. When you talk about the older man, you're talking about somebody who is close to his grave, man. Oh, he's not close to his grave. Who has gone 1 meter below his grave?
That's gone close, yes. But
we're talking about
you cannot see.
Well,
age doesn't determine the age in which a person is close to the grave, because you can actually see someone 20 to early 30s and he will die first before the father.
You're right.
So it's not a determining factor towards that.
So that means Father's Day, we should celebrate the father. We should celebrate the father. We should really celebrate the father. The father to this young maiden. Because what was that thing that we used to say in Igbo? Well, I am the commissioner, so I have my PA. He will come and make sure that you guys understand me very well. We're moving on from that. I'm bringing you what is happening in the world of entertainment fully and the full gist. How we are bringing it today is that there's this trending news about Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo. I really want to avoid that, but because it's trending and it's something you have been expecting us to talk about, I am bringing it to your table right now, and I'm bringing it to your screen also so that we can dissect and do justice to that matter. Well, I'm doing this with the social lawyer, so she has seen this, or she would see this from all aspects how this should be. And as a mental mechanic, I'm gonna park my car and wait. Let there be some imago. Now, coming to you, social lawyer, how far have you seen the news? You've heard the wranglings of drawing tattoo and other things going on the internet. What do you think about those things? How do you see that happening?
When I saw what Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo drew in his hands, and I said something, I just said something that everybody are humans. Because sometimes you see these pastors, these men of God, as superhumans.
Okay.
But they are all humans because they have the flesh, which everybody have.
The flesh.
They have the blood. They have everything a common man should have. So you don't expect below the standard which they are giving you out, because they have their desire. So his desire at that point is to engrave something on his hands to portray maybe what he's feeling or what he's trying to express. To the Christian body, it might be offensive, not portraying what the body of Christ is trying to display. But to his inner flesh as a human being, he's trying to satisfy those inner pleasure.
Okay. Now let me bring it to a point. Talking about Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo now, you know that he has been on the internet because he has cited a lot of relationship issues where he has dissected, he has talked about these things. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Looking at Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo, what he wrote on his hand was John 3:16 in Latin. That was John 3:16 in Latin. And from what his own POV, he said he has preached the gospel. At least everybody was criticizing, but many people have heard the gospel. Many people have checked that scripture to read it. Many people have been reminded of the same scripture. Now, I want to ask you, you, we being celebrities and seeing how it's going, do you think there's disparity it has caused in the body of Christ? Do you think that he are actually, what if he is or he was someone you know very well? What will you have told him?
I wouldn't have told him anything anyway. Do you know why? Because I think that, like I said, everything has to do with pleasure.
Yeah.
At that point, what he desired was what he actually did.
Okay.
And so I won't beat him. He's not a kid.
Okay.
Do you understand? The only thing is that I'll remind him that
He's a clergy.
he is a man of God, a public figure, and worthy of emulation. So what he's actually doing,
Will it corrupt the people, or will it just be a problem to the body of Christ, something like that?
like I said, you will not actually satisfy everybody out there. You can't. It's insatiable, like something that you cannot actually satisfy everybody out there.
Okay.
You cannot actually please everybody. Do you understand? There must be an outcome of things that you will do that would dissatisfy the next person close to you. It's just like what happened between Tonto and the people. You
The
said
same thing that happened between Tacha and Messieke.
yeah. So people are trying to say, Tonto, you have misled the people before, and you're not trying to come back and tell us that what you did there was out of mistake, but out of burst of emotions, and this and that. No. And people are now saying, oh, you said you were born again. Yeah, quite all right. You're just trying to display. Is it a public show of or are you just trying to engrave some imaginary things to the people, or are you just trying to be sincere? Because the point is that people are saying you have your tattoos on, you have your knees, you have your lash, you have your makeup, you're looking good, etc. Then which morality are you treating the people out there? There are so many controversial issues there, and you see her coming online to speak in tongues, do all manner of things.
Well, first of all, let me ask you something. Do you know, let me talk about this, and I'm sure my viewers are not.
But I just want to say something.
Okay.
My father will always say, Okadinobi.
Okadinobi.
Yeah, like.
Now, 1, 2, ready, go. Everybody open your heart. Let's go to the Oka in your Obi, because
like, do you understand? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like,
Okadinobi, the heart is the worship.
Yeah.
The heart is where the worship is, right?
Yeah, not
because what you said is church. What we're talking about is worship. The heart is where the worship is. Well, I don't want to switch to the side where I am or what I am, but I'm going to keep it just on an entertainment base. But I want to ask you, do you know that Pastor Kinsley Okonkwo has been a rider?
A rider, Okada? Or...
He was one of the city boys that rode big bikes. He said it on X. Then, now, do you know that he's an uncle to Burna Boy? Yes. Pastor Kinsley Okonkwo is Burna Boy's uncle.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay.
He's Burna Boy's uncle. So now, looking at that whole kind of generic, he said that he was not called, that he's the man of God. He was not called to the church. He was called to the unchurched. He's going to the unchurched. You know what this means? He's not the pastor who will be in church, or who is called to go to a particular people who are already churched. So he's looking for people who are not churched. And the people who are not churched are the people who are ras, bikers, guys who are very, very extreme with their lifestyle. Now, talking about Tonto Dike, moving a bit from that, talking about Tonto Dike, look, I've seen that some of those things a lot, and I used to pass it. Now, do you think that when someone, that thing she's doing, that repentance, we could say that turning around, look at it, look at the scenario. When someone is done doing everything they are doing, they will tell you they have repented. Of course, you know that it is part of life to repent and to renew your mind. But how do you think people would see this? Why do you think there's this call early to go for what you know? Why do you think so? How will people see that? You're seeing it already this side and this side. So how do you think the masses will see, oh, she's coming online to pray, fixing lashes and all those things? That tells you that this prayer is what? Is pre-planned. This camera. So, I mean, what do you think about that? If you were to be in the position to read out some regulations, will you even include that to what she should do? Now she's a believer.
I think we have been stick to it, this orthodox way of worship.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And it doesn't require too much. Now, this young generational worship, you see the man of God, their wives looking exquisite, like very beautiful.
Oh my days.
Very I won't say Tantalius.
Hey,
Chineke
Odumeje, did he lay hands on you? Think about Tantalius.
Tantalius.
Please, Odumeje, I don't know if Odumeje laid hands on this
Men
lady.
of God these days are out of the world. Like,
pineapple flavor
they
yogurt.
are looking all like their wives. Have you seen, like, most when you search for the wives of these all these men of God, all this our new generational worship, men of God. Hi, God. You will shout Chineke me.
Chineke me.
It is
but see,
out of this world.
They're out of this world.
Like, I think people are now drifting and shifting from the normal orthodox way of dressing to a higher classy way of dressing, and still knowing how to maintain
the fire.
But the only thing is that now this classy and the modern way of dressing is a little bit controversial and contradicting. Why? Because it's actually portraying I am in the world, but I'm not in the world. Do you understand? Now, if you want to be a goddamn Christian, you don't need to contradict yourself.
Okay, so you need to go
because it will make you try to prove harder.
Okay, so it will make you now. It will make you to have this kind of this kind of perception, or people will now feel that you are not someone who should actually be. That your Christianity is not so genuine.
Yeah,
that's what people feel. But what if it's part of the brand? Because of the society where we are existing. Yes, because okay, let me tell you. Many years ago, we say Christianity. How do you know Christians? By the way they dress. What is the way they dress? Oh, okay. Some denominations say no trousers. Some denominations say like everybody was just creating their own paths according to what they say is their revelation and the way their doctrine is. Now, but you see that not just non-liberalism, I would say, but more like a Western culture coming into our own side of traditional Christianity, where people need to dress in a certain way so that they can be able to reach out to a certain side of people. For instance, we know that God calls people. Like in UK, there's a place when you go with your bowed head, you may not be able to talk to people. You need to make your hair. You need to tie your hair as a guy. You need to keishi, because the people you are talking to. So to the Jews, you are this kind of person. To the this, you are this kind of person. But what I'm saying is, talking about Tonto Dike, let's not deviate from that. We know that looking at Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo himself, he has come out to say what he's saying, and what he's saying is what I said, not what I mean. Do you understand? So he said what he said. Do you think that because there's a lot of controversy right now around men of God, around what is really happening, why is this happening? Do you think that it will affect his congregation? That everybody will now start going to draw tattoo. But do you know the funny thing? Do you think that tattoo was actually real tattoo?
That's why.
That's the thing, because that tattoo was for his 50th birthday, something, where he has used to take to clout and draw attention of people, and then he posted his 50th birthday press party and told them to come there. He will explain. You see?
That's just one thing about the social media. People that know how to, these celebrities know how to manipulate this whole scenario and get people to do what exactly they have thought of. The only thing you could do is to set in some controversial issue. He knew that anything outside the box of being a Christian, he should do. I think he targeted it well.
Well, he targeted the word, of course.
But he will explain tire to the other body of this because
no. That's not even, to me. That's not even
a big issue.
A big issue, because he is the pastor. He knows. He knows his congregation. He knows his men. So my hand no dead there. I'm just saying my own, that Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo, he tattooed John 3:16 in Latin on his uh, hand here, just on his hand, just close to his palm. And there's a lot of rumors about that. A lot of people have said that he is Antichrist, he is this, he is that. Well, at the end of the day, Bible says the Lord knows those who are his.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
what the Bible says. So, but we're going to just have a hitch, and we are going to have, and we're going to hang this show somewhere so that tomorrow when we come, we can bring it down
Yeah.
and run with you. Thank you very much, Angie, the socialite. Sorry today was not as hot because we needed to talk about this matter. And I promise you tomorrow we're going to bring live social issues that are happening in entertainment. You know that there's no new music really, except Sake, Whiskey, and a few of them who are dropping their bangers now. And if you guys have listened to Odumodu Black with some of those guys who are some new songs, of course, came out, but we're expecting Friday we're having new music. And don't forget that our Valentine Splash here on Aneke TV is coming up on the 14th and 13th of February. Is going to be a live show where we are going to talk about a lot of things around love, relationship, marriage, and what not and what it is. Have a wonderful time. And remember, I am your one and only host, the Commissioner for Enjoyment. I do this for a living, so don't even boast or talk about it. Don't play with me in my consequence.
I told you that you have been dethroned.
Please listen to me. Don't listen to her. I am the Commissioner for Enjoyment, and I will see you again, same time, same station tomorrow. Have a wonderful time.
And be blessed. Bye.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Imo State unfolds like a living poem, a tapestry of memory, aspiration, and transformation. Here, history is not settled in the past, but continues to move forward, carried in the footsteps of Imolites, whose resolve and optimism animate every corner of the land. The people and their spirit Imolites are renewed for their courage, enterprise, and intellect. From the bustling avenues of Owerri to the rolling hills of Idato, both the young and the old carry a quiet, steadfast conviction. Education is not just a means to an end, but a calling. Their ambition lives in the classrooms, in labs, in markets, and in the global Imo diaspora. Imo's cultural heartbeat is rhythmic and rich. High life melodies mingle with gospel harmonies and modern beats, each song echoing ancestral memory and youthful vigor. Traditional dances carry stories of community, origin, and resilience, even as innovation blossoms, rooted in respect for heritage. Infrastructure and roads. Under Governor Hope Uzodinma, Imo has undergone what many describe as a road revolution. The administration claims to have delivered over 120 quality roads within 5 years. Notable among them are the dualized Owerri Olo and Owerri Okigwe roads. The Mbidi Oguta Road and 18-kilometer dual carriageway was commissioned in early 2025, aiming to boost economic activities in Uru West and Oguta LGAs, especially by connecting to the Orashi Energy Free Trade Zone. Other signature infrastructure includes the Azamta flyover to decongest traffic and the Emmanuel Iwanyam International Conference Center, which has been built to world-class standards. Governor Ozodimma has also stated that these infrastructure investments are not just for mobility, but are economic corridors intended to stimulate trade, reduce travel time, and integrate Imo's communities more closely. Under human capital development, health and education, and on health, the Governor Uzodimma administration reports a comprehensive revamp, renovation of 305 health centers, purportedly one in each electoral ward, establishment of 55 new primary health centers announced in 2025 to expand access, particularly in rural areas, construction of 3 new general hospitals at Ohaji, Oguta, and Omuma, revitalization of the Imo State University Teaching Hospital and the Specialist Hospital, plus re-accreditation of nursing and midwifery schools. Creation of a state health insurance scheme known as Imo Health Insurance, which has reportedly covered more than 66,000 residents. Deployment of mobile clinics to reach rural and underdeserved communities. In education, Governor Ozodimma has significantly expanded tertiary education. What was once one functioning public university has grown to 3, along with a polytechnic and a college of education. He has also prioritized youth empowerment and governance that are strong signals of financial reforms. According to some reports, Uzodimma has focused heavily on capital spending, budgeting major parts of the state resources towards infrastructure and development. Then, Imo under Emeka Ihedioha, renewal and vision. While much of the recent narrative focuses on Governor Ozodimma, it is important to acknowledge the contributions of his predecessor, Chief Emeka Ihedioha. Through his rebuild Imo agenda, Chief Ihedioha prioritized environmental renewal. There were efforts to restore drainage, improve waste management, plant community trees, and reintroduce refuse compactor vehicles. He also restructured state finances, including implementing a treasury single account for greater financial discipline and automating revenue collection to improve the state's internally generated revenue. In agriculture, Chief Ihedioha launched initiatives called Rice Revolution to boost rice production, turn rural youths into farmers, and partner with the private sector for food security. For youth and sports, Chief Ihedioha's government reportedly worked on sports infrastructure across the 27 local government areas, envisioning healthy, active youth participation in sports. What truly defines Imo is its resilience. Where decay once prevailed, renewal now pauses. Where neglect reigned, leadership dares to imagine. The story of Imo is not only about roads and hospitals, it is about a people who refuse to accept stagnation, who carry their heritage with dignity, and who dare to dream of a better tomorrow. As night falls over palm-lined hills and Owerri streets, hum with life, Imo is not just a place, it is a promise built in classrooms, clinics, markets, and fields. In its people lies its greatest wealth, and in its bold, forward-looking dreams, its greatest power.
Humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. It is the quiet dignity of those who serve when no one claps and rise when no one cheers. In a world shouting for attention, humility whispers truth. It chooses peace over pride and silence over show. It knows that value isn't in volume and honor isn't always visible. The humble carry unseen power. They lift others without needing a pedestal. And in doing so, they rise higher than ego ever could.
Sexual and gender-based violence, SGBV, is one of the most pervasive and pressing human rights issues globally, affecting 1 in 3 women in their lifetime, often by intimate partners. Non-partner sexual violence affects at least 6% of women globally and among adolescent girls aged 15 to 19, with about 15 million having faced forced sex. In regions like Sub-Saharan Africa and parts of Asia, including Nigeria, the problem is particularly acute, reflecting deep-seated cultural norms, weak legal systems, and the lack of political will to combat it. In Nigeria, sexual and gender-based violence remains a challenge despite efforts being made by different stakeholders to curb the scourge. This is buttressed by the National Demographic and Health Survey (NDHS) 2018, which revealed that 30% of women aged 15 to 14 have experienced physical violence since age of 15. 7% of women in that same age group reported experiencing sexual violence at some point in their lives, while 1 in 4 women, that's 25%, have experienced spousal violence, emotional, physical, or sexual, by their husbands or partner. What is more disturbing is the prey on children and adolescent victims. According to UNICEF, 25% of girls and 10% of boys in Nigeria have been sexually abused before turning 18. This implies that 1 in 5 Nigerian girls experience sexual violence before 18 years. From metropolitan cities like Abuja and Lagos to rural areas and states across Nigeria, women, girls, men and boys continue to face physical, emotional and sexual abuse, often from those closest to them. In some cases, this abuse is perpetuated by influential members of the society. Even more disturbing is that the majority of cases go unreported, buried under layers of fear, ignorance, family ties, shame, and societal silence. Sexual and gender-based violence is not a new phenomenon. Its roots are deeply embedded in history, culture, power dynamics, and deep-seated inequalities in power and social structures, particularly those that perpetuate the dominance of men over women. It's a complex issue with roots in cultural norms, society beliefs, and historical practices that normalize violence and discrimination against women. One of the oldest and most significant roots of SGBV is patriarchy, a societal system where men hold primary power. Societies have historically placed men in dominant roles, with women expected to be submissive, obedient, and silent. This imbalance has often justified violence against women as a means of control or punishment. Harmful traditional practices such as child marriage, female genital mutilation (FGM), widowhood rights, and honor killings are deeply rooted in societal customs. In many cultures, these practices are normalized and rarely questioned, even when they involve violence. Historically, laws and institutions supported or ignored violence against women and marginalized groups. For example, marital rape was not considered a crime in many countries until recent decades. Slavery, colonization and armed conflicts also contributed to institutionalizing sexual violence, especially against women and girls. SGBV is often used as a weapon of war or conflict, where sexual violence is inflicted to humiliate, dominate, or destroy communities during wars and internal conflicts. Women and girls are often disproportionately targeted by sexual violence. Women have also fallen victims to rape during armed robbery operations. Additionally, economic dependence on men has made many women vulnerable to abuse, as they fear losing support or livelihood if they speak up. In workplaces, schools, and communities, people in authority often exploit their power through coercion and harassment for the purpose of emphasis. Some of the factors contributing to the prevalence of SGBV include unequal power relations, inordinate sexual fantasies and orientation, harmful traditional and cultural practices or beliefs, gender stereotypes, lack of enforcement of laws, poverty, armed conflict, denormalization of violence in communities, stigma and victim blaming, family ties, the Nigerian factor, suppression of cases, low awareness about rights, weak institutional frameworks, unwillingness of victims' family to pursue justice, among others. In many cultures, patriarchal norms reinforce male dominance and female subservience, discouraging victims from speaking out or seeking justice. SGBV refers to harmful acts or abuse committed against a person because of his or her sex or gender. It is forcing another person to do something against his or her will through violence, coercion, threats, deception, cultural expectations, or economic means. It includes a wide range of abuses such as domestic or intimate partner violence, forced marriage and child marriage, female genital mutilation (FGM), sexual harassment and exploitation, emotional and psychological abuse. Sexual violence is any act attempted or threatened that is sexual in nature and carried out without the consent of the victim. Sexual violence includes rape and sexual assault, sexual abuse and harassment, exploitation and forced prostitution. It can happen within marriages, especially when there is a lack of consent for sexual activity by one of the spouses. Any sexual activity with a child, any person who has not yet completed 18 years of age, constitutes sexual violence. The impact of SGBV is far-reaching. These acts not only violate fundamental human rights, but also lead to long-term physical, mental, and emotional trauma. It has devastating effects on the development of a child involved, as well as on his or her physical and mental health. SGBV has health, economic, and social impacts on the victims. Victims may suffer from health disorders. Victims may be unable to work or attend school, affecting their economic independence. Survivors often face ostracization, stigma, and isolation from their communities. To combat SGBV effectively, there is need for a multi-sectoral approach that would involve as key actors public awareness. There is need for public awareness on the ills associated with SGBV. Victims, survivors, their families, and other members of the public need information on how to seek help and justice. They need a new orientation on how to handle SGBV cases. They need to be educated on the need of speaking up and seeking justice. Even when community leaders want to cover up, they need to know that there are support services available for them. Community education and media campaigns can help change harmful gender norms and encourage reporting. Strengthen legal. 1. Public awareness. 2. Strengthen legal frameworks. There is a need for strong legislation on SGBV, as well as strict implementation of laws. Existing laws like Child Rights Act 2003, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, VAP Act 2025, and Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Enforcement and Administration Act 2015 should be enforced to the letter. States yet to domesticate the VAP Act should do so and possibly establish special GBV courts or gender response unit or team. The Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, passed in 2015, has been a significant milestone, but its implementation remains weak and uneven across Nigeria's 36 states. 3. Empower victims. Create safe spaces, hotlines, and shelter for survivors and support them with legal and psychological assistance. Only 30% of victims seek help due to fear, stigma, and lack of trust in law enforcement. 4. Promote gender equality. Address the root causes of gender inequality through education and economic empowerment. 5. Funding. Prosecution of SGBV cases requires funds. Prosecution of SGBV cases requires funds. The victims and their families are usually financially incapacitated to prosecute the case. In all cases, the prosecution is done by a government agency or ministry within the limited resources available to them. There is need for adequate funding to agencies or units and the Ministry of Justice to help them prosecute the cases. Logistic supports to volunteers and service providers on SGBV issues. 6. Increase number of state councils. Having a reasonable number of state councils willing to specialize in SGBV cases will definitely add an impetus in the fight against the scourge. 7. Naming and shaming. Just like Lagos and Anambra states have queued into the policy of naming and shaming the offenders, other states need to align. The Sexual Offender Register, managed by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, is only accessible online currently. The register serves as a tool to document and track cases of sexual violence and abuse, including those reported, arraigned, or convicted under the Violence Against Persons Prohibition (VAP) Act. The register includes information on convicted offenders as well as those who have been arraigned or reported, with varying levels of access depending on the user and the nature of the information. 8. Train law enforcement. Equip police, judiciary, and healthcare workers to handle SGBV cases with sensitivity and urgency. Aside the already listed measures, establishment of specialized SGBV prosecution units or National SGBV Agency launched grassroots engagement structures, making it easy for victims to report and seek protection and justice in the case of SGBV. Strengthening of data collection and reporting systems, the designation of special courts for SGBV cases, operationalization of the VAP Law 2017, and robust multi-agency coordination can go a long way in fighting the systemic social malady. The origin of SGBV lies in systemic inequality, reinforced over centuries by culture, power structures, conflict, and law. To eliminate SGBV, societies must address these root causes by promoting equality, education, legal reforms, and accountability. SGBV is so pervasive that the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, and the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, have committed to the global movement to end violence against women and children, which began at the inaugural Women's Global Leadership Institute in 1991. Despite growing awareness and advocacy, millions of women, girls, men and boys continue to face various forms of violence simply because of their gender or sexual orientation. This is why efforts must be doubled to tame the scourge, which is more than a societal issue, but also a public health emergency, a human rights violation, and a barrier to sustainable development. We must join hands together in fighting this menace. If you cannot prosecute or fund a prosecution, you can volunteer information on SGBV. You can volunteer information on SGBV. If you cannot volunteer information, you can create awareness or create a safe space for a victim. If you cannot create awareness, you can contribute to diluting the patriarchy, societal structures, and cultural hegemonic practices that normalize violence and discrimination against women. It is also important for state governments to support community initiatives as well as non-governmental organizations' efforts aimed at preventing sexual and gender-based violence crimes in the country.
Depression is more than sadness. It is a medical condition that affects thoughts, emotion, and daily functioning. Many people struggle silently, masking their pains with smiles or busyness. This silence often makes the battle harder. Recognizing symptoms like fatigue, isolation, and loss of interest is an important first step. Depression is not a sign of weakness. It is a health challenge that requires care and understanding. Just like any illness, it deserves proper attention. Help exists through therapy, medication support groups, and open conversations. When society treats mental health seriously, more people find the courage to seek help. No one should suffer alone. Compassion can save lives.
Enugu State Government has convened a town hall meeting on land sector development as part of efforts to modernize land administration in the state. Held at the Dome Hall of the Enugu International Conference Center, the event brought together public officials, landowners, community leaders, and key stakeholders to deliberate on ongoing reforms in land governance and land titling. The engagement forms part of Governor Peter Mbah's broader initiative to strengthen transparency, improve efficiency, and provide clear guidance on land use policies, reflecting his commitment to inclusive governance and stakeholder participation. Speaking on behalf of the governor, Secretary to the state government, Professor Chidebere Onya, highlighted the importance of land as a critical asset regulated by legal frameworks. He explained that ongoing reforms are designed to protect legitimate land ownership and clearly define land classification within the state.
If we acquire the land officially, you have the right to be informed. If the land has not been acquired and you're being charged all sorts of things, you need to also contest it if it's not harmonized and in line with our land laws. You need clarity, and that meeting will help you. And again, you particularly, when you're done, please send an email to that. I'd like to know some of the issues relating to that area.
Also addressing the gathering, Managing Director of the Enugu State Geographic Information Service, NGIS, Mr. Chiwetalu Nwatu, provided updates on the state's land harmonization process. He revealed that ground rent, land use charges, and other property-related fees are being consolidated into a single annual payment structure, simplifying compliance and enhancing revenue administration.
The idea is to make land accessible, also ensure that issues of double allocation, issues of land grabbing, and issues related to people not being able to access their properties are sorted out while this administration is on. The impact of this in the states is simple. Today, before, even as we were in this meeting, several developers who were interested in coming here have signified further interest because of this reduction. One good thing that is going to happen is that you're going to have influx of people in the states, developing properties, house rents will drop, and there'll be more buildings, both for commercial and residential use in the states.
The executive chairman of Enugu State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Emmanuel Ekene Nnamani, emphasized that tax filing remains mandatory and announced that residents with a national identification number (NIN) are automatically issued a tax identification card.
When we agreed with the matter and the market leaders, we agreed that when somebody pays his tax, he should not pay any other thing apart from security levy, which is being used to maintain what they call the order in the market. So I'm hearing for the first time that you are still paying any other thing outside the security levy. What the government approves is make payment of your tax, 36,000 in the market, then the union or the leaders collect what we call security levy. So outside that security levy, I've not heard of any other thing in any other market. And we have been doing it for the past 2 years, getting to 3 years now. So we have not heard about it. You saying it happened, then we need to do more investigation about it.
The town hall concluded with an interactive session where participants sought clarifications on policy changes and explored practical steps towards achieving a more transparent and efficient land administration system in Enugu State. Jennifer Onibo, Aneke TV.
Dedication is doing your best, even when no one is watching. It is the quiet force behind every masterpiece and every breakthrough. With consistency and focus, you don't just chase excellence, you become it. Stay dedicated, the results will speak.
It was a solemn and spiritually uplifting gathering at the Holy Ghost Cathedral in Enugu as members of the Igbo community came together for the inaugural celebration and proclamation of the Igbo Day of Adoration and Thanksgiving. The annual observance, which will now take place every last Saturday of January, is dedicated to collective thanksgiving, deep reflection and spiritual renewal among Igbo. Presiding over the Holy Mass, marking the historic occasion, the Catholic Bishop of Enugu Diocese, Most Reverend Callistus Onaga, emphasized God's enduring faithfulness in preserving the Igbo people through generations. Represented by Reverend Father Michael Amobi Obu, the bishop noted that the Igbo nation is blessed with a strong identity rooted in faith, resilience, and communal values. He called for continued prayers for peace, unity, and sustained development across Igbo land. He explained that the event serves both as a unified act of gratitude and a solemn appeal for God's continued blessing upon the people. Highlighting the collaboration between cultural institution and the church, Bishop Anaga drew lessons from the biblical story of the 10 lepers, noting that only one returned to give thanks. He stressed that gratitude remains essential to receiving greater blessings and divine favor.
So, God who has sustained this race from that world to man will never leave us. He will be with us. Bless our fathers, bless our mothers, bless our children, and give us what belongs to us through Christ our Lord.
Of course, among the 10 lepers who were healed, one came back to give thanks, and Jesus himself was delighted. So I believe God himself will be delighted with this development amongst us as Igbo, that we are thanking God, not just complaining always, that we've dedicated today to thank God in prayers for his blessings of survival on us. And I believe God will do more for us because of this act of thanksgiving.
Speaking on the inspiration behind the occasion, the Deputy President General of the Apex Igbo Sociocultural Organization, Ohaneze Ndibo Worldwide, Prince Okechukwu Nwadinobi, said the initiative was inspired by the collective wisdom of Igbo archbishops and bishops who saw the need to set aside a day to thank God for his goodness to the Igbo people.
Well, the message came from the church, from the clergy. During our retreat last year, first week of June 2025, Archbishop Madu presented a paper on behalf of the archbishops and bishops of Alib, saying they had a message from God and that the message was clear, and they had all come to the agreement that it is something that is worth doing by Indibo, and that they felt the best way and the fastest way of conveying the message to Ndibo will be through Ohanes Ndibo. So we, after the presentation, we unanimously, as the National Executive Committee of Ohanese, adopted the message and agreed that we should collaborate with the church to set aside and promulgate a day of Thanksgiving called Igbo Day Adoration and Thanksgiving. Every church in Alibo and beyond, and this is happening all over the world. We have Ndibo going to their various churches to say thank you, God Almighty, for saving our people during the war and also helping us to survive all that happened, all the deprivations, and today we are standing firm. We have our people doing very well all over the world, and we are very thankful. And we've come now to get, not individually, which has been going on in various homes, but today we have come together as Ndibo to say, God, thank you for saving us.
Also speaking, the National Publicity Secretary of Ohanese Ndibo, Dr. Ezechi Chukwu, described the gathering as deeply symbolic in the spiritual life of Ndibo. He said the Igbo Adoration and Thanksgiving Day is a moment of praise to God for his kindness, protection and guidance over the years.
It is an exercise that has spiritual symbolism in the lives of Ndibo. It's a day of thanksgiving, a day of commendation, a day of praise unto God for his kindness and mercies unto Ndibo, as a result of series of survivors of Ndibo as a people, starting from the Nigerian Civil War and other travails we've passed through as a people. So today is a remarkable day. In fact, this is the maiden edition. It was the Igbo College of Bishops that made the presentation during our retreat, that God has actually asked us to undertake this step. So today we are marking this event all over the world and in all Igbo churches, as a matter of fact, and we thank God exceedingly for that.
Other participants who spoke with Aneke TV, including Adena St. Rachel Ngozi of Umuada Igbo, Nigeria and the diaspora, also Celestine Aneke, chairman of Ohanese Ndibo in Eziagu local government area, and Dame Nkechinyere Ugwu, former financial secretary of Ohanese Women Wing, praised the initiative as timely and unifying. The Thanksgiving event also symbolized unity, bringing together Igbo people from different communities, states, Christian denominations, and the diaspora in one voice of appreciation. The organizers say the observance is designed to reinform communal bonds and strengthen the enduring spirit of brotherhood among Igbo. They noted that the annual celebration is not only a remembrance of the past, but also a declaration of faith in a future anchored on gratitude, unity, and trust in God. Jennifer Onibo, Aneke TV.
The soul is part of us that survives every storm. You can't see it, but you can feel it in silence, in longing, in every heartbeat that keeps going. It asks for more than food and fame. It hungers for meaning, for stillness, for the divine. The soul is where music is born, where peace begins, where truth hides. To care for your soul is the greatest act of self-love. For in the end, what we were fades, but what we are at our core remains.
Udo dịrị gị onye ọma na-ene n'anyị ugbu a na Aneke TV. Anyị abatakwa ka anyị si eme ndị nne ụmụada na nzukọ ụmụ nwanyị. Nkata anyị tata wee bụrụ ihe ga-abalị onye ọbụla uru, maka na ọtụtụ ihe anyị na-ahụ n'oge ugbu a na-emebe anyị na-eme n'ebe dị iche iche ịpụta na-ajụ onwe gị ajụjụ. Anyị wee sị na anyị bụ ndị nne ụmụada na anyị ga-aba n'ụlọ jụọ onwe anyị ajụjụ. Ihe anyị na-eji neba anya tata wee bụrụ azụcha azụtaghị nwa onye ka o si n'aka, maka na ụfọdụ agwa ụmụ anyị na-akpa ma ndị nwoke ma ndị nwanyị ịpụta ijuba onwe gị osizi onye n'aka. Ọnwụna nwa mgbe ka mara akpụ ka ọ na-agụba adịghị nkọ. Naanị ihe ị ga-eme bụ sonyela anyị mgbe anyị ga-akpacha nkata nke tata. Ị ga-ahụ ma matakwa ọtụtụ ihe ị na-amabughị, maka na onye mụ na ya nọ tata ọkwa kati nwanyị ọkwa kati nwanyị, kati nwoke gacha kati nwanyị aga. O wee bụrụ Chinyelu Ụbadigbo Mrs. na ọ bụrụ ndị oyibo, mana ndị Igbo odozi akụ ọkpata akụ na-echekwaba akụ. Chinyelu, anyị na-asị gị nnọọ na nke taa.
Ndewo.
Abụ m Ngozi Ọtahumele. Dịka nsi wee kwuo, ihe anyị na-eji n'anya bụ azụba azụcha, ama mma na ọ na-azụta ka ọ na-azụtaghị. Mgbe na-abịa ebe ị nọ Chinyelu, ị na-anya na ọtụtụ ihe na-eme n'oge ugbu a, akparamagwa ụmụ anyị akachacha ndị na-eto eto ma ọgụdị ndị ntakịrị a na-ajụ ọ gịnị na-emezi. Azụcha nwatakịrị azụtaghị ya, biko na-ajụ onye ka o si n'aka. O si n'aka nne ka o si n'aka nna? Kedu onye ọrụ adị alụ?
Daalụ. Mgbe ụfọdụ n'uche nke m, nwa na-asịkwa nọ ndị nna ka ọ na-esi n'aka, maka nwaanyị ndị nne ga na-etigbu onwe fa. Nwaanyị ma nlara ụlọ abalị, ị ga na-eje ụka, ịbịa n'ụlọ ụka ife ụfọdụ ndị nne kpolucha pictures foto ụmụ fa na-ekpesa ekpere ka ọ dịrị ụmụ ya mma, dịrị ezinụlọ ya mma. Mana nwoke bụ na bịa palọ ka ọ na-end, ọ mara afụ nwaanyị na-ata azụ ụmụaka. Mgbe ụfọdụ nwatakịrị mee ife n'ụlọ, nwaanyị tie tibia, nwoke batasị a nwaanyị ozugozi itikazi nwa nka, ma inye punishment ọsị emekwana ya. Ụfọdụ ụmụazị na-eme fame ife n'ụlọ, ọsị chere ka dadi anyị batagodi. Mgbe dadi anyị batagodi, ihe anyị ti ma ọ ga-etikwa gị. Ụfọdụ ndị nna na ụmụ nwoke na-eme mistake, nọrụ n'iru ụmụaka tie mama fa ife ka ezi ihe ịchọ ka nwatakịrị ahụ mee, ma ọ bụ na ị nọrọ ya. O nwere nke mee na ya dị m, nwatakịrị si mgbe ọbụla ọ na-eti m ka papa anyị nata otikwala ihe oti m, wee tie m si
ihe nke ọ na-eme eme.
Papa gị nata ka o tikwala ya, ntizie nwa ahụ. Papa gị nata nye bịakwa tie m. Maka gịnị mee? Nwatakịrị pụ n'ụlọ, nwa ebe 17 years,
nwa nwoke ka
nwa nwaanyị, ọ natara 2 days. Mami ya na-agbaghalị na-achụ ya, ifuru onyinye. Luzie ka ọ nata, mami ya dali aka tibe. Ọsị otichago mmerucha nye ihe o mmerucha m arụ. Mgbe dadi m natagodi ka m gwa ya
ọ bụrụ na phone papia na-use n'onye nwago nye papia ọ da alụ ọrụ nọ na-agụ SS2 na secondary school
wee sizi ebe wee weta
kebe o si weta ego ji wee go phone maka nwoke na-akwadoli ya efidoli ya aja ya kwụgharịba mana nwaanyị nọ na-ata afụfụ ka ọ zụọ nwa ya ka ọ bụrụ mmadụ ọsị mgbe papia natagodi ka ọ bịa ka o tie ya ihe oti ya
mme ya natakwana otie ya wee wenye
mme ya natakwana otikwa amamiya onye ọbụla wee gbapụtasị ya na ọ bụrụ eziokwu kedu ebe nwa je for 2 days no correction ka a na-enye ya na ihe o mere adịrọ mma so n'uche nke m mụnwa na-asị na ụmụ nwoke
Odoziakụ Chinyelu, ọ dị m ka m ga-ekwenyelụ gị n'ihe anyị kwuo maka ihe nji wee sị na ọ dị ka m ga-ekwenye gị n'ihe anyị kwuo bụ n'oge ụfọdụ ị ga-afụ ndị nne obele nwa mee ihe ọ sị ya chee ka dadi gị nata chee ka dadi gị nata dadi gị nata na-ajụzi ihe ọ na-echele ka dadi ya nata ọnya na ya bụ onye nne ama mmenwu ya ma ọ zụọ nwatakịrị ya eji asị chee ka dadi gị nata maka ọ bụ na nwaanyị a bido na gboo zụba nwatakịrị a ọ masị na nna ya nata na ọ ga-eti ya so ọ dịghị ka ọ gịnị na-akpata ndị ụmụ nwaanyị na-asị chee ka dadi anyị nata ọ na ọma mmenwu o ji wee bụrụ nna ka ọ na-eche
ma dịka etu mụnwa si wee too mama m bụ onye nkụzi mama m tibego ọ na-eji m aka odo eti ma mma oge ọ papa m gasị ozugozianụ nke itiri nwa ozugozianụ ma mma mma na-etikwa gị ọ dị eme na ozugozia tiri uche ya azụ
ihe adịa
n'obi o mezuo ya so ndị nne adị emetachakwa ya mgbe ụfọdụ mụnwa ada m ekwukwa chere ka papa gị nata na m eti gị papa gị bụrụ onye ọ m bụ gị n'afọ mụnwa ma afụfụ
ịtara ọnwa ite naanị
ebe ị na-achọ m ka ọ dịrị gị na mma maka nne ọbụla na-ekpe ekpele ka nwa ya kalịa ekpele m ka nwa m kalụ m maka na a sị na nwata dị mma ọ bụrụ nwanne ya mana ọ bụrụ na ọ dị njọ ọ bụrụ nne ya a sị na nwata nwaanyị zụ ọkụkọ nwaanyị zụ na-ata akwa ọkụkọ ka gịnị
ọkụkọ nwaanyị zụ na ọ na-ata akwa ọkụkọ mana nke nwoke zụ ada ọkụkọ
so ndị nne ada emetụ ya mgbe ụfọdụ ọ bụrụ o nwere ihe papa m na-eche ka papa gị nata ịchọ itriti a sị na ụmụ m si na triti fọkọp ịchọ itriti fọkọp nwatakịrị triti ya ozugbo ọ bụrụ ichebe ka papa natazi ome gịnị ọ bụrụ na onye di ya na-aba mba ọ bụ eze ọchọchị ịgba mba ya baa n'ime gị ihe ịchọ ime ọfụ gị ụjọ abanye arụ
mana ọ dị m ka anyị bụ ndị nne onwe ebe anyị na-eri mperi maka dịka ikwuru ọ gị nwa bụ ihe tara afụfụ ya gị nwa bụ ihe bụ nwatakịrị ọnwa ite naanị gị nwa na ya nwa bụ ihe bido n'oge wee na-anọ n'ụlọ ndị nna na-apụ apụ mana oge ụfọdụ ifu ndị nne ihe ha kwesịrị ime ha ama mmie ọ dịka a na-atụ egwu ka ọka nwa nke wee ghara ime anọ m na moto na bọs anyị na-ana nwaanyị kuru nwa ya weta aka metụ aka ebe a na sị ya boy bring your hand out na onye nọ na moto asị nwaanyị ị na-abadokwali ya mba ọ gịnị kpata ndị nne ụfọdụ ji emere udo ebe o kwesịrị ikwu okwu ọma nkwu okwu ọ gịnị ka anyị na-ezede kpata ọ na-aji afịalụ ndị nne arụ ịba mba ebe nwatakịrị nọ ọ ka gịnị wee mee
ịma na ụfọdụ ndị nne ọ bụghị oyibo asị na fadi week mgbe nwa m dị a year and getting to 2 years ekwum ya n'ụlọ ụka ọ na-agba olituo ọgbagobe n'elu ọlta ebe fada na-anọ ndị mmadụ asị ka onye nwe nwa ọ na-eme m ifele ejidezie m ya nwatakịrị tụtụpụ ụla nwa m ịgba isi Chineke mụ ntụtụpụkwa nke m magwali ya n'ụlọ ụka nwaanyị nọ m na-akwụsị m that's right onye nke ọzọ sị m hey madam nwe pekasị onye pe mbọsọfụ m ka m fụrụ ya since nduru ya bịa chọọchị nọrọ ebe ngwali ya nọrọ
maka na
mbido n'oge ma ọ bụ ụfọdụ ndị nne ga-abụ ị na-agwa nwatakịrị okwu ọ na-atamuru ma ọ bụ onye ala ọchịta m ojela mere otita m be agaba n'ụzọ na-ata m.
Mana Odoziakụ Ụbadigbo onwe ebe nchọ ka ị neneke n'anya ụmụaka anyị na-afụ kịta asị na ọmụ jensi na mgbe anyị nwatoro na ọ bụghị ofu ihe. Mgbe anyị nwato ndị otu anyị na-abụ nna m ga-asị gị na ọ bụ na ndị oyibo na-akpọ ya street light na ọ bụ na agbanye ọkụ a ịnọ n'ilo ga-anatakwa na gị larụ ebe a o wee bụrụ otu o si wee zụọ igosi gị mgbe ị kwesịrị ịdị na-abata. Ọ gịnị na-emezi ndị nkịta anụ ma ndị nne na nna nkịta ọ dị gị ka ọ gịnị kpatara ha na-etinyezi uchu n'ihe ahụ bara uru n'ịzụ ụmụaka ibido n'oge dịka isi wee kwuo o pee mpe tụtụpụla na ntị gị. Ọ bụrụ onye nke nọ gị n'aka ekpe a ga-asị hey boy why did you do it, mana onye nke nọ n'aka nni gwa gị na ị matara ya anya ọfụma ọ dị gị ka ọ gịnị na-emezi ndị nkịta anụ
ma ụfọdụ ndị nne ọ sitere ka onye si zụọ ka onye si wee nwanụ. O nwekwa ụfọdụ ndị nna anyị dị akpịrị dị ụsa ihe a ha che na ha enwenwuro ka nwa ha bịa nye ha rapụ nwatakịrị ọ na-ana n'iyi ọ na-akwụghalị ịfụ ha eyili nke a na-akpọ bọl shọt na-asị gị na ndị jenzi ibadi nwatakịrị kwụghalịcha ma ndị ọgbọ papa ha ndị sọ papa ya na ha epotoricha ọ pụtara enyi ya pinọt ọbịa ojiri ya bata n'ụlọ ebe o si wee wete. Krismas gara aga ụmụ onye nke butere mami ya akpa rice nwatakịrị nwaanyị mami ya na-amanye n'ogolo akpa rice nke a
nwatakịrị ọ na-alụ ebe
gịnị ka ọ na-alụ o butere gị akpa rice nsi na rice adagokwa onye ọbụla ga-egote ngwa rice. Ụfọdụ ndị asịnọ yahoo ejiro nwatakịrị gị nke ọ na-eme
wee na-akpata udo ego.
O nwere ụfọdụ ndị nne na-eji egolu ụmụfa laptọpụ ka o wee pịtaba ego n'aka ndị ọcha alụ
ọka ọdịdị nso pịta ego n'aka ndị ọcha amago n'ihe kịta anụnwa tupu ị pịa wee pịta ego a ị ga-ajụ onwe gị ese. Mana Odoziakụ Ụbadigbo biko dịka m si wee jụọ n'izizi kedu ebe mmiri si wee baa n'opi ụgbọ tupu anyị na-aga n'ihu kedu ebe ọ dịghị ka ebe ka mmiri si wee baa n'opi ụgbọ kpata anyị bụ akachacha ndị nne maka ọkwa ndị nne ka ọzụzụ dị n'aka ọ dịghị ka ebe ka mmiri si wee baa n'opi ụgbọ gị kpata ndị nne ada alụzi ihe ha kwesịrị ịlụ n'ebe ịzụ ụmụaka nọ.
Nwa mama nkarị nata m a ga na-emekwa ya a na-etigakwa ya nọọ ndị nne kaba arụ ka ọ bụrụ na o siri ọfa n'aka wee mebie ọzụzụ a esiri ọfa n'aka wee mebie. O nwere ndị nne ike na-adịrọ ị na-elele nne nwa ya agwabi okwu nwa ibu n'afọ maka mụnwa na-agwa ịkpọ ọmụ nkele nsị gị ọ bụrụ na m ṅụrụ ọgwụ mgbe m dị ime gị ịma na ọkwa ebe a na-akpọ m nkele onye ka ebu who does that? Oyibo ụmụ m ji mara n'iwe were na m
who does that? Onye na-eme ụdị ha kedu ebe ị mụtara ya?
Maka emere onye nne m bụ na o jiri azụ aka kpụwapụghị anya onye nkụzi. So ụfọdụ ndị nna anyị ka o si na ụfọdụ ka m na-akpọpụ ya ọ bụrụ mmadụ ncha bụrụ mmadụ niile ka o si n'aka.
Ụmụ otu onye gwa m ihe tọọ m ọchị tọka amarụ ọ sị na ndị India sị na ha na-eme brain surgery na ndị India na-eme brain surgery na brain surgery bidoro n'ala Igbo wee na-ege nwatakịrị nwoke a na-ekwu ihe a ntị ọ sị na ihe a ji wee sị na o bidoro n'ala Igbo bụ na nne ya na-eme brain surgery nsị ya ka eze ebe o si wee mụọ ya ọ sị maka na iyi ala na nne ma gị ụlọ ọ ga-ama gị o reset ya brain ya na ihe ọ ga-adagogide gị n'isi brain ya ahụ dị ka ọ kpasara akpasa ọ gbakọta ọnụ ya bụ na ihe nji wee kwute ihe a na anyị bụ ndị nne dịkwa nke anyị na-eme brain surgery ọ na kedụzi ebe anyị si wee rapụzia ihe anyị kwesịrị ime ọ dịzịa ka ndị ọzọ mana ka anyị bịa nkata anyị bụ azụcha nwa ọ bụ na azụtara ya ọ dịghị ka o si onye n'aka o si gị nwa bụ nne n'aka o si nna n'aka dịka anyị si akpa ama m na ị na-ege ntị uche gị dịkwa n'ihe anyị na-ekwu ọ bụrụ na ọ dịghị ka onwe alụ ị ga-atụnyela anyị tụnyekwala anyị alụ na Aneke TV n'ihe mmetụcha aka anyị na Facebook anyị na YouTube na Aneke TV ịtụnye alụ nke gị na ọ bụrụ na ọ dịghị ka o nwere alụ ọ ga-abịa ịtụnye o wee baala anyị uru ka anyị gbatị ụkwụ ọ bụ na anyị nachite azụ anyị na-aga n'ihu
a sị na ekwe kụọ ama agba ekwe ụmụ nwaanyị akụọla o ọkwa na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị oge anyị ji akpa maka ọdịmma anyị karịkwa maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị bụ ebe anyị na-akpa maka arụ ike anyị ndọrọ ndọrọ ọchịchị azụmahịa omenala ndị ahụ dị mma nakwa ihe ndị ahụ ga-eweta ọganihu n'obodo naanị ihe ị ga-eme bụ sonyela anyị na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị ebe ahụ a na-akarị ihe na-eweta ọganihu n'obodo ndị nne ndị nna oge a bụkwa nke anyị sonyela anyị na Aneke TV n'ebe a na-emetụ aka na ihe ndị oyibo na-akpọ soshal midia na TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram ọkwa na Aneke TV ka ihe ndị a niile na-eme Aneke TV anyị apụọnụ
daalụ ama m na ị ka na-esonyela anyị na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị na Aneke TV anyị ka na-akpakwa nkata mụ na Odoziakụ na Ọkpatakụ Chinyelu Ụbadigbo aka m bụkwa Ngozi Ọtahumere dịka nsi kwuo ihe anyị na-ene anya bụ ọ bụrụ na azụcha nwatakịrị ọ bụrụ na azụtara ya ọ dịghị ka o si onye n'aka mana ọ nwere otu ihe nchọ ịjụ gị biko ịzụ nwatakịrị ọsọsọ ndị nne na nna ka ọ dị ya kedu ndị ọ dị ala ịzụ ụmụaka maka ama m mgbe anyị na-eto ọ bụrụ na o nwee ihe imel onye na-agafe bụ onye nnefu gị ọ kụọ gị akụta gị ọfụma kedu ndị ọ bụ ọrụ ha ịzụ ụmụaka dị ka ọha obodo ma ndị na-agara onwe ha enwe ike itinye aka n'ịzụ ụmụaka
a sị na ofu onye ada azụkwanụ nwa ofu onye nwere ike ịzụ nwa onye ọbụla bụ nne ga-azụ nwa onye ọzọ maka mgbe ifo nwatakịrị na-eme ihe na-adịrọ mma ikwupụrụ Chukwu ya bụrụ na ntị adịghịzị mana kwuo ekwuo maka na nwa nke gị nwere ike ọ bụrụ na ọ nọkwa obodo ọzọ ụmụ onye ọzọ na-azụkwa ya na-agbazili ya ụzọ mgbe ụfọdụ wuo ọ ekwu na-ekwu mere ọnụ ụfọdụ na-asịkwanụ nkwukwa na onwe ike ndị be ha ebulu ọgụ onwe ndị ebulu ọgụ bịakwute m nke gbasara nwaanyị ji wee kwuo izuchago ụmụ gị na ofu onye ada ahụkwanụ nwa
akachacha na omenala
Igbo izuchago nke gị nenụ na nwa ya nke wee na-aga etu na-emekwa nka ọ bịa bụrụ nwa m nke nyaa ka ọ bịara ịbịa gbaziri onye ka ebu biko zụkwa nke gị rapụrụ m nke m
zụkwa nke gị rapụrụ m nke m otu nwaanyị kọrọ ihe ọfụ ọ sị na ya afọ nwatakịrị nwa agbọghọ na-aga na ihe oyi na-eme ifele ya wee metụ nwatakịrị ya aka wee sị ya ọ dị gị ka ihe oyi ọ sị ya gịnị onwe ihe gbasalụ gị ya nje zuo nke gị mgbe m jee achacharacha nwaanyị wee sị ya mma kwuo ya ama ọzọ ịzụ nke onye ọzọ ọ dị gị ka ihe kwesịrị maka na nwatakịrị ya kwuru ụdị okwu a
bụrọkwa ihe kwesịrị ị ga na-ekwu ike ama ngwụnata gị maka enwere mbọsị nchọrọ n'ime last week achọrọ m ịba keke moto nwatakịrị nwanụ mgbe ihe oyi wee gbajuo didi ụkwụ ka ọzọ ụkwụ na-abụ ọzọ nwaanyị wee sị ọgịrị bụkwa nka wee na-acha tọtọtọtọtọ wee sị draiva wee sị m onye kete banyere mmadụ mbanye isi a mbakwa ahụ mama mbanyekwa n'ụdị moto keke a mma bakwa ahụ ọmakwa m onye ibu na keke nke nwaanyị tọọlụ ọsị m abụ m onye mmụọ onye ọ bụ dịka onye ọ bụ nsị a na-edirọ mma n'anya na ihe onye ọbụla na-enene gị na paakị ịdịrọ mma n'anya ọ bịa bụrụ ọgba ete ka iyi ike yi ya wee jee na oseme market ejiri okwute tugbuo gị ọ bụrụ ụdị ha ọsị madam ndị nke m sị na ndị nke m enwere ike iyi ụdị ha nọ na yad ya fọzie yi ya wee pụta site na ifere mekwanụ ide abakwabe nwoke ọkọba m kọgide
nsi o we kọ gị mbọsị ọzọ ị ga-enwekwa obi ị ga-eji wee
ọfụmanụ mbọsị ọzọ m ga-enwe obi m ga-ejikwa wee kwuo mfo m na-ekwu ma nke m
ifukwuo
m na-ekwupụ nwa m onwe o ji egote nika obere nika ọ sị na oyiri ọkụ ya pụ iro ise yiri ala rụba ụla kwa hiti na-eme gị mbọsị yiri apụta n'ụlọ ndọwa ya ọ sị na ọ dịghị ya apụ ilo nne nenekwe ọ dịghị ya apụ ilo n'eziokwu mgba nkịtị
ya bụ na anyị bụ ndị nne ma ndị nna ekwesịghị anyị fụ ajọ ihe anyị emechi ọnụ anyị maka na mmadụ kwuru biko agwa ndị ụfọdụ na-akpa akachacha anyị bụ ndị ụmụ nwaanyị anyị pụta anya hapụrụ ndị nkụzi ụmụ anyị nwatakịrị mee ihe ọsị ya na ya ga-agwụ ya tichi ya ịma na ịbụ kati ma o jegwu ụkọchukwu dịka isi bụ kati nwaanyị mmadụ hapụ ihe o kwesịrị ime n'ụlọ butere gị dịka kati nwaanyị o kwesịrị ekwesị ma onye nkụzi
o kwesịkwa maka ndị kwuru okwu si na a na-ama mma n'ụlọ wepụba n'ama
wepụba ilo
o nwere ụdị ihe nwa etu a si bụrụ nwaanyị ọ bụrụ ihe niile ka m ga-emepecha ọnụ kwuo maka na ọ bụrụ nke m ị ga-ebugodi ụzọ wee gwa nwa gị bifo iburu ya wee pụba n'ilo nwa m mgbe ọ pere mpe ọ na-ede assignment isi a m ga-etriti fọkọpụ gị bifo onye nkụzi ga-afụ ya dee ya n'ụlọ ada m onye abụ onye nkụzi ka emee lesin anyị ga-ebu ụzọ bido mebe lesin n'ụlọ anyị megide ya ebe ọ febaziri ma arụ taịm oge exam ndị asnọsi igosi ugo nke ahụ ga-afịabazi ma nweziela ya megiri egoziela onye nkụzi mana ụfọdụ ndị nne nwatakịrị na-agụ noiziri ọta akara asị na ọ na-anọ home lesson n'ọka onye nkụzi ya na-emeli ya assignment nwa bụrụ gịnị ma 1+1 bụkwa assignment ka ezi ihe gị nwa bụzi onye nne na-alụzi ọ bụrụgodo onye na-alụ na bankị o nwere time
ị ga-ewepụta ihe nji wee jụọ ajụjụ a bụ oge ụfọdụ ịfụ nwatakịrị ị na-agwụ ya ihe ọ na-emeterọ ịkpọ ha na onye nkụzi afa ụjọ aba anya arụ ọ gịnị kpata ụmụaka anyị ji atụkarị ndị nkụzi ha egwu karịa anyị bụ ndị nne
na mgbe ụfọdụ ndị nkụzi amarọ m ka o nwee ihe a na-ekpu n'iru
o nwee mmọnwụ ha na-ekpunye n'iru ọ na-abụ nwatakịrị fụ ha
egwu aba ha nwatakịrị amago na mama m anọrọkwa ebe a papa m anọrọ ebe a
o nwere onye ga-azọta ya
ka m kwanyere onwe m ugwu o lutere anya na geeti a efu ya ilelegodi nwatakịrị a iru ya echenji gị nwa bụ mami ya onwe ike ịrapụ gị ọ fụrụ na onye nkụzi rapụ gị gbarụ solibia mebe ihe ha na-eme amarọ m ka o nwere iru ekpo ndị nkụzi na-ekpu
ha na-ekpunye n'iru ọ ga-abụ nwatakịrị na-eheni anya egwu aba ya arụ mana n'uche nke gị kedu mgbe anyị kwesịrị ibido zụba ụmụ anyị ọ mgbe ha togo ụkọ mgbe ha ka pe mpe kedu mgbe anyị kwesịrị ibido zụba nwatakịrị ka anyị kụba ha mkpụrụ ahụ anyị kwesịrị ịkụba ha
mgbe anyị bụ ndị nne kwesịrị ịzụ nwatakịrị bụ mgbe nwatakịrị ị na-enye ya ala mgbe ọ na-aṅụ ala ọ na-ele gị anya n'iru ịma na mgbe a ka o ji ama onye a bụ mama m ọ taa ga-alụ itiri anyị ya ife ọma na ọ dịrọ mma mgbe a ka ị ga-etosi n'ibido zụba nwatakịrị bifo okwube dị okwu ka ọ malụ nke dị mma na nke na-adịrọ mma
ya bụ na ọ bụghị anyị echelụ na nwatakịrị na nwere ihe ọma kịta anụnwa na ịgwakwana ya ọ ga-anụ na maka anụ mgbe otu onye na-asị agwana ya ihe dị otu ọsị ọ ga-anụkwana na ọka pempe nwekwana ihe ọma kịta anụnwa ya bụ na mgbe ahụ ọ na-aṅụ ala na ị nwee ike ịgwa bịa ihe o kwesịrị ime na nke ọ na-ekwesịrị ime
daalụ rinne biko achọrọ m ka anyị jụọ ụdị ajụjụ a biko ọzụzụ nne na nna kedu onye nke ya ka mkpa ịzụ nwatakịrị nne na nna kedu onye nke ya ka mkpa n'ịzụ nwa ọ nke nne na-azụ ka ọ nke nna bụ ihe kacha mkpa iji wee guzobe ụdị ụmụaka anyị chọrọ ka ọ bụrụ
ịma na mgbe ụfọdụ ụmụaka na mama na nne na-anọkarị ịma na mgbe ụfọdụ ụmụaka na mama na nne na-anọkarị ha si na osi finish ụmụaka na-afụ nne ha si finish ọ fụchaghị ya onwezi ihe fọnụ
ịdọsịa finish ya wụrụ ọ fụchaghị
mgbe ụfọdụ ndị nne ga-asị hei na ọ tie nwatakịrị ya ihe o mee m ụwa n'ebe nsi wee mụọ ya ma ụda adị m mma so ndị nna ga na-etinyekwa aka
ọ bụrụ ihe a ga-ahapụ
ọ bụrụ ọsọ ndị nne ka arapụrụ ọzụzụ nwa na ọ bụrụ ọsọ nne mụrụ ya ọ bụrụ na nne tụrụ ime ya ọ nna tụrụ ime ya ha ga na-etinyekwa aka maka fon a na-eyuzu kịta buru nne debe nke gị nna debe nke ya ndị be m ha ma paswọdụ m nchenji ya kịta ha ma paswọdụ mana papa ha nke ya na-akụgodi o nwere onye egwu ga-ekwe ije tinye ya n'iru fon ya
ya fọzi
imetụ aka
ọ maka gịnị
egwu nna
ya bụ na a na-atụ nna egwu karịa ka esi atụ maka afụchabe nna
mana afụchago onwe ike nna nọrụ n'ala na-amụ amụ ọ gbagotebere ana
onye ọbụla anọzi ọfụma
onye ọbụla daji abịabago daji is coming onye ọbụla anọzi ọfụma onwe ihe idebe n'elu tebụl imezie ya ụfọdụ adịghị ekwukwa okwu mana anya ka ọ ga-eji kwuo okwu dịka onye nke m anya ka ọ ga-eji kwuo okwu mmadụ ama ngwa gị
a na-eme
etu ahụ esi kwuo ya
ọ gịnị kpatazi o ji bụrụ onye nna ka a na-atụ ụda egwu a
onye ka m
afụchago nne onwezi ihe ka anyị fụrụ ana anyị bụ ndị nne kacha eme mkpọtụ ngwa ga aka ebe a mana ọma mgbadi aka mana ọ bụrụ onye nna ọ sịrị ya bifo ọ na-ekwupi ya ọ gbado gị ozugbo
a ga-asị m he mọmi ụtụtụ ọbụla ị na-eti itiwekwa mkpu ọzọ
maka ama na itiche na onwere ihe ị na-eme
ana ọ na-afụ m ụfụ n'anya ihe anyị kwesịrị ime ịma mmịa ọ ntie before land ya ma ana m akụ m azịza
ịkụcha anyị reset
ya brain
o nwere ihe ọ na-ejeli ndị ije eme surgery daalụ rinne Chinyelu Ụbadigbo dịka anyị si kpaa azụtaghị onye ka ọ dị n'aka ọ dị nne ka ọ dị nna n'aka azụchaghị onye ka ọ dị n'aka biko fụkotegoro okwu a azụba nwa zụcha ama nzụta ya onye ka fọlt dị ala ma ọ bụrụ onye oyibo kedu onye a ga-asị na emetere ya
a ga-atakwa nne na nna zụrụ ya ụta nwa esikwabe mmadụ maka amasị osikwabe nne ma ọ bụ osikwabe nna osikwabe mmadụ nne na nna dị suppose ịgbakọ aka ọnụ wee zụọ nwa rapụ nwa m anwụ na nwa m anwụ ma ọ bụ na nwa m a na-ama akwụkwọ too much adịghị suppose ị na-eti ya efe asị mụnwa na-akpọdo ndị nkụzi na skuul si echebiri onye ọ bịala etipịa anya ezigbo ụtalị maka na onwekwa ife ọrụ n'ụtụtụ ọrụ pụtara mana ọ bịa leti ndị nkụzi echebiri apịa nwunye ezigbo ụtalị elu echi ikunye n'oge ije morning mass gbagaba skuul ozugbo mana mba na ọ lara ụra ọfụma n'abalị na onye mere o jide ekwulile n'oge kedu ihe ji ya ịlaba okwu nwa n'aka ka ọ na-enye nwa ala ọ dịrị nne na nna dịrị nne dịrị nna onwere onye adịala iche
daalụ rinne Chinyelu Ụbadigbo kati nwanyị ama m na ka ị na-akati na chọọchị na ị na-akati n'ụlọ daalụ rinne maka okwu nke anyị kwuru na mkpokọta okwu gị ke ndụmọdụ ị ga-adụ
ma onye na-enene anyị ma onye ọbụla na kachacha ndị ga-afụ ihe na-emebi agba nkịtị.
Ndụmọdụ nna-adụ nne na nna ọbụla bụ biko ka ha jisi ike ọkachasị ekpele maka ọkpọkwa n'ike aka anyị ga-akpọkụkwa Chukwu osebụrụ ụwa ka o nyere anyị aka n'ịzụ ụmụaka maka ọzụzụ mgbe nke m na nke kịta abụrụkwa ofu na kịta asịnọ end time
ọ na-abịazikwa na emechizi
emechi ka anyị jisi ike na-etinye ụmụ anyị ọbụla na ekpele na-enwekwu family prayers maka to me ọ na-awa ọkụkwa ụtụtụ ekpe n'anyasị ekpekwa bifo anapụla kpọkuo ma nke gị na ya nọ ma nke gị na ya na-anọrọ na-etinye ya n'ekpele ka anyị maa ka ọ ga-adị mma.
Ọ ga-adị mma site n'aha Jizọs.
Amen.
Daalụrị nne Chinyelu Ụbadigbo kati nwanyị asistant kati na St. Anthony Church. O wee bụrụ ebe a ka anyị na-apịachikọta nke ụbọchị nke taa. Ihe anyị nebere anya wee bụrụ azụcha nwa azụtaghị onye ka a ga-asị na ọnya bụ ihe na-emetere. O nwere onye ọ dị iche n'aka, ma gị nwa bụ nne ma gị nwa bụ nna. Ọzụzụ dị n'aka anyị niile. Ọ bụrụ na anyị gbakọ aka dịka o si wee kwuo, ọ ga-aga nke ọma. Ị na-agakwa na ọ bụrụ ofu onye na-azụ, ofu onye mụ nwa mana ofu onye ada azụ. Akachacha n'ala Igbo anyị a, ifu ebe ihe na-emebi kwuo okwu, gbazielu nwatakịrị ọzọ ụzọ. Maka echetara m mgbe anyị na-eto, onye fụ gị ka ị na-emetere ma ọ bụ nne gị ma ọ bụ nna gị, ọ gbaa gị ya n'arụ, ọ baa gị na ntị. Nne gị ama mpụta bịa sị nwaanyị o ji wee mee ma ọ nwaanyị o jiri wee mee. Mana ndị nne kịta anụnwara bụ itinye nwunye ọsị gị ọgịnị gbasara ọbịa ọgụ ọgị nwa mụọrụ m ya atakwa m onye fụ unu mechie ọnụ. Ọkụ obodo anyị si wee dị kịta. Ọ bụ na ihe anyị mee n'ụbọchị nke taata masịrị gị, sonyela anyị mgbe ọzọ anyị ga-abịakwa na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị ebe anyị na-akarị maka ọdịmma anyị, maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ anyị, maka ọdịmma ọha obodo. Abụ m Ngozi Ọtahumele. Daalụ Odoziakụ Chinyelu Ụbadigbo maka isonyere anyị nke taata. Na mgbe ọzọ m ga-akpọ gị na ị ga-abịakwa. Ọ bụ na ihe anyị mesịrị na-amasị gị, ihe anyị mee taata na ịchọ ka anyị mekwa anya mbọsị ọzọ, sonyela anyị na YouTube, na Facebook anyị, na TikTok, na X, na Aneke TV. Ebe a ka ọ ga-abụ inene anyị. Ọ bụ na ihe anyị mere maakị anyị good, ọ bụ na ọ dị gị mma, ịtụnyekwa nna anyị alụ ka anyị ga-esi wee na-eme ka o wee dị mma. Wee ruo mgbe ọzọ, abụ Ngozi Ọtahumele. O mesịa.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.